604 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. We're starting off your Thursday morning at 51 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. I got a big show lined up for you today. Haggai Davis could be buying a little bit for a cup of tech gumbo. Senator Franklin Foyle's in with us. I got folks from Eye Care are in with us. Anthony Kenney, Metro Councilman, at 8:15. Got the chance to talk to him for the first time yesterday. Dude is a ball of energy. Looking forward to that conversation. And we've got Csonka from the CJCC. They've got a big conference coming up today and tomorrow. So a lot of ground to get to. Let's start off right now. Top stories and trending.
Number 5.
A pedestrian was struck by a vehicle on Jones Creek Road yesterday afternoon. East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office said the person was hit along Jones Creek near the intersection with Coursey Boulevard shortly before 4:30 p.m. Actually, I saw this scene. I obviously didn't see the person, but saw the scene yesterday. It was if you were just on the Albertson side of Coursey from on Jones Creek. If you're taking Jones Creek headed towards I-12, that is right where that was at. I mean, it was right there before the intersection. It was a chaotic scene or a frenetic scene to say the least. But a pedestrian was struck by a vehicle yesterday afternoon. I'm looking for the follow up here to find out if deputy said the pedestrian was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. But they didn't have any more information other than that.
Number 4.
A lawsuit filed against the constitutional amendment has been thrown out by the state Supreme Court. The attorney who filed the lawsuit says the language was vague and not transparent. Amendment 2 overhauls Article 7 of the state constitution, which deals with revenue and finance.
Number 3.
East Baton Rouge Parish Mosquito Abatement and Rodent Control Board decided to move a vote originally scheduled for yesterday morning on whether or not they're going to approve or reject a budget proposal submitted to them by parish officials to a later date. The proposal is part of the mayor's Thrive EBR plan and involves a one-time rededication of $13.25 million from the department's fund balance to help support budget stabilization with the city parish. It, by the way, would allow the department to retain 1 year of operating revenue within its fund balance.
Number 2.
A replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall will be on display in the Capital Region through Sunday. It's a nationally traveling model called the Wall That Heals. It's set up outside the Life Tabernacle Church along Blackwater Road.
Number 1.
A woman was gunned down outside of Our Lady of the Lake Hospital yesterday afternoon in what police say was a domestic shooting. According to BRPD Chief TJ Morse, the shooting happened outside the hospital on Hennessy Boulevard around 3:45 p.m. Chief Morse said the woman, who's an employee at the facility, was in the parking lot leaving work when someone shot her. After she was shot, she was taken into the trauma unit at the hospital where she did pass away. Chief Morse said the suspect has not been arrested. What you got, John?
Oh, man. Well, comedian Bill Maher continues to get blowback from the left as he takes on the Democrat Party. Well, he takes the Democrat Party to task for their agenda and behavior. Representatives Al Green and Jasmine Crockett are the latest to draw Maher's ire.
So if you follow Bill Maher at all on social media or whoever you follow on social media, Bill Maher's popping up a lot if you've got any kind of politics in your algorithm there.
Yep.
And
he doesn't really hold back from any side.
No,
right?
and I've always been a Bill Maher fan.
Yeah.
I believe I'm probably never going to agree with him on anything,
right?
But he does stay. He's kind of smug. I get that. He's funny though,
right?
Which those two things can go together. But my bigger point is that he's always been upfront and honest, like intellectually honest within his own political beliefs. And he continues to pound the drum saying, guys, we are going to keep getting beat as a party. We're going to keep getting whittled down as a party. And if you want to keep losing, keep with the agenda you've got, keep up with the actions and the attitudes, and just he's I don't know. He doesn't seem to be getting much traction on his side though.
No, but I mean, like you said, I mean, it's that uncomfortable truth of just, regardless of what side you're on.
Yep.
Hey, Finland is named the happiest country in the world for the 8th year in a row, according to the World Happiness Report of 2025.
I don't buy it.
You don't buy it?
I don't buy it.
What do you mean?
What's so great about Finland?
I don't
why
know.
are they
Maybe
so happy?
The Northern Lights, maybe honestly, it looks beautiful, but I don't know.
Other Nordic countries are also once again at the top of the happiness rankings. Besides Finland, Denmark is in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iceland and Sweden. Those are your top 4, and they remain in the same order.
Yeah, I mean, just going off of looks alone, I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks.
Does Finland have boiled crawfish?
Well, no, they don't.
And I don't know why
they don't.
Why is their beauty any different than our beauty?
Maybe they do.
Maybe a sunset over Lake Pontchartrain is gorgeous.
It is.
Is there a happier place than, let's say, Tiger Stadium on a Saturday just before kickoff?
Right.
I don't know. I want to find out the rankings, the metrics that go into this ranking.
Right.
Because I'm calling BS.
Finland, they have someone on the inside. Like, come on, just get us to the top again. Hey, what is the best Netflix series ever? Well, according to a recent user survey, Narcos edged House of Cards for the top spot. Narcos.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said Norcos.
Oh, Narcos.
Yeah. It's not over there next to Destrehan.
Narcos, yeah.
So, man, I don't think. Okay. Narcos edged out who? House of Cards.
House of Cards. So I guess they were both fighting for that top spot, huh?
Yeah, my Narcos would be in my top 5. I'm surprised Stranger Things didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm not I was a big Stranger Things fan in season 1.
Yeah.
Less so in season 2.
Season 5, I think this year.
I bugged out in the second episode of season 3 because it's like, we're done here. But where's Ozark?
I honestly, when I saw this, I thought the same thing. I thought that would have been maybe it's a qualifier for top 3. At least got to be in the top 5.
No,
it's not.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ozark is not even in the top 15.
Ooh.
And I'm going back through the whole list here, or maybe I missed it somewhere.
Wow, I'm shocked by.
They did the list as a slideshow instead of a straight list. So I'm sure I'm missing something. But I tell you what, this is why we have our Facebook live chat.
Yes.
Rank them for me. Everybody give us your top 3. Your top 3 Netflix shows of all time. I'm going I tried to do this based off of what I thought overall popularity would be, not just my favorites. Because my favorites would go Ozark 1, The Crown 2.
Okay, yeah.
And then what was that cartoon with John Mulaney and
you're not talking
John Mulaney and Nick Kroll, Big Mouth.
Big
Mouth would have been my number 3 right there.
The characters were in my head and I could not get it out.
Yeah. All right, give us your top 3 over on our Facebook Live. We're live on Talk 1073's Facebook page, courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. In fact, we're live over on YouTube, courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. And while we're at it, I can add on to that whatever you miss is on demand at talk1073.com. That is also courtesy of Lake Urgent Care. 6:13 coming up on 6:14. Let's take a quick break. Come back. We got sports next.
Good morning, Facebook. Come on, Brian. Good morning. I would say yes, Ozark. That's my favorite Netflix show.
Ozark's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, it was riveting.
617 Talk 1073 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. How about it for the Lady Jags? Southern University's women's basketball team pulls down a W last night in the NCAA tournament. You know, the last time we talked about Southern women's basketball was roughly never. I believe this is the first time we've ever mentioned Southern women's basketball. 68-56 over the UC San Diego Tritons. Yeah. Southern had 3 players in double figures, including Sanaya Reed leading the way with 24. Anaya Gordine, I hope I'm pronouncing that last name right, with 17. And Tiana Lidge with 12. 68-56, and there was not a time where they didn't lead. They didn't have to come back from behind. They were in control comfortably. They did put up UCSD did put up a really solid third quarter to keep it within reach, but 68-56 your final score. So Southern moves on Southern will move on within the tournament because they were, I guess that's kind of one of the playing games of the first 4 or whatever they call it. So if we're looking ahead, let me pull the bracket back up from where I'm at. If we're looking ahead, they're now going to play. They've earned the right to play the number 1 team in the whole tournament. They will take on UCLA 9:00 tomorrow night. So I don't know what it is about Baton Rouge teams getting the late draws, but Southern's got 9 p.m. tomorrow night. LSU women's basketball will be 9:15 p.m. Saturday night. Right here on Talk 107.3 tomorrow evening, you will have LSU softball. Beth Torrey and her crew are on the road this week. They are at Georgia. 5 p.m. is your first pitch for softball at Georgia tomorrow evening, and then baseball will be down the hall on our sister station, Eagle 98.1 at Texas, 7 p.m. first pitch tomorrow night. We're coming up on 620 at Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Time for us to check in with the Fox Business Report. After the Fox Business Report, I will have a look at traffic for you, and then let's talk a little bit more about Amendment 2, but from an economic development perspective. That's next. Mark Romig was amazing.
He was.
That was the best Rotary presentation I've seen in a long time. I can't remember one that I like better than that.
He was really cool. So it's fun thing. My mom and dad did go to that very first game, the very first Saints game in Tulane Stadium.
Yeah,
Um,
with John Gilliam in the run back, and then that was it.
Yep, for the next 30 something years.
Yeah.
Um, uh, my parents were also at the Billy Cannon run.
Ooh. Okay.
My dad used to take clients to any game that he could. Back when you could, for $2, walk into Tiger Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. Billy Nungesser tells a story about how his old man, and his mom and dad were going to that game, and in the story he says somebody offered his parents like $2,000 a ticket for their tickets. And I'm like, dude, nobody believes that.
No, not in
That
1956.
No, I know.
$500 bought you a whole car.
Right.
$2,000 bought you a house.
Right. I know.
If somebody offered them that, they were kidding. They didn't. No, but I went to him afterwards. I said I loved listening to his dad, in the stadium all those years.
He sounds exactly like his old man too.
Pretty damn close, and not quite as high of a nasal, but yeah.
But I love the fact that he credits everything to a deviated septum.
Yeah, that was great. I also did not know Buddy D was.
Me neither. Can you imagine that train wreck?
God, how many? I mean, the man spoke with rocks in his mouth. I mean, how he lived and was on live TV for as long as he was.
It was like it was never 1st and 10. It would be 1st and over under 10.
Yeah. And I mean, because I grew up listening to Half Bloody, and then Buddy D took over the show after.
Point after.
And it was a fun memory lane to have him go up there and start talking about some of those things.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised when he said didn't mention the first game back as one of his favorite times in the dome.
I-12 westbound right now. We've got some minor delays on 12 West when you're hopping on at Denham Springs. It's your normal delays. They'll pick back up again once you're up and moving. Meanwhile, on my big board, and I'm not showing it here on the map, but it is on the board. There's reported congestion on 10 West by Dalrymple. 10 West from Dalrymple to the 10-110 split. So if you're out there, you're seeing it, you know about it. And if it's not there, then I apologize. All I can go with what's reported. 10 West coming in from Ascension Parish is looking good. 10 East coming in from West Baton Rouge Parish is looking good, as is 110. On your surface streets, there is nothing to report at this time. There are no more major accidents nor delays. That's your look at traffic from the Shawbills Tire Traffic Center. $6:23, rolling over to 6:24. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. We got Haggai Davis in for a cup of tech gumbo coming up 10 minutes from right now. Never heard of mishing before. MISHING. But apparently it's the new thing to look out for when it comes to security, like phishing was. We'll talk about that and a few other things in just a little bit. Before we get into our next topic, though, do need to remind you about the folks over at Vex European. You can check them out online at vexeuropean.com. That's VEX, V as in Vinny, vexeuropean.com. They specialize in European vehicles. If you drive a European vehicle, they got you covered there. The Audis, the Land Rovers, the Jaguars, the BMWs, the Mercedes of the world, if you drive an exotic, they've got you covered there too. Vex European is celebrating their 10th anniversary, their 10th year in business this year. And you don't get to 10 years in business without knowing what you're doing and having the street cred to back it up. Every once in a while, I'll read a review right from their Google. Another 5-star review. This one coming from, where's the name on it? Dadgummit. How about from Melvin? Says Vinny's an honest man, and despite my Porsche Cayenne being old, he told me about the real cost of the repair and the cost of the vehicle. That being said, swapped out the air suspension on his old Cayenne Turbo for a factory. Well, he gets into all the nitty gritty of what got done, but I think you hit it right there on the front end. I have a 17-year-old vehicle myself, and the first time I went in, Vinny and his team broke it down. They told me exactly what absolutely had to be repaired, what could wait, what would cost what and when, and what kind of let's just say triaging I should be doing with putting my 17-year-old car back into working shape. He's honest. He's upfront. He's going to deal with you the right way, as will his entire team. Check him out online, vexeuropean.com, VEX, vexeuropean.com. All right, we've been talking a lot about Amendment 2 that's going to be on your ballot on March 29th, or if you're stepping in for early voting this week, you'll see it on the ballot there. We've talked about it from a taxing standpoint. We've talked about it from a revenue standpoint. We've talked about it from the standpoint of getting teachers a permanent raise as opposed to a stipend being awarded every year. But we haven't talked about it from an economic development standpoint. And Susan Bourgeois, our economic development secretary, along with Richard Nelson, revenue secretary, held a press conference the other day and addressed exactly that. What we're looking at right now is last year with 4 sessions overall, 3 specials and a regular, a lot got done to fix the business climate in Louisiana. A lot of that has to do with taxes because, quite frankly, if a business is looking to relocate somewhere, taxes are part of your cost of doing business. Susan Bourgeois talked about that. Cut 1, please.
So much of our role here at LED is about changing the narrative around Louisiana and the Louisiana opportunity. And everything we have done since the beginning of this administration at LED has been about positioning Louisiana to win. That's sort of the banner under which all of our work has folded. And this is just one of those critical steps, right? The things we were able to accomplish in that 3-week special session in November were really meaty, significant pieces of progress as it relates to our tax code. But this is another really meaty, significant piece of progress in that as well.
You can knock the income tax rate down to 3%. That's awesome. But there are other pieces to the puzzle, weapons in the arsenal, if you will, for Susan Bourgeois that still need to happen. We're going to talk about 2 of those with Franklin Foyle coming up at 7:15. But back to Amendment 2, Susan Bourgeois continued.
When companies look at investing here, either in an expansion, in a new location, in growth, whatever it is, there are 2 critical things that they look at first before we're either going to make the list or we're not. And number 1 is the cost of doing business there. Number 2 is the ease of doing business there.
As far as the ease of doing business there, there's still a lot of work to be done. And quite honestly, a lot of that work has to be done on a city level or a metropolitan level, municipality level, if you will. But from the state level, that cost of doing business and ease of doing business, the state can handle the cost of doing business through taxation. Removing the inventory tax would be a good one right there. We got rid of the franchise tax. That one is not a game changer, but an obvious move that had to be made. So where do they go from here? Well, a lot of Amendment 2 in rewriting Article 7 of our state's constitution, a lot of Amendment 2 streamlining it, making sure that we're only taxing for what we need to collect and not just a tax here, a tax there, just for the sake of needing a tax or wanting a tax here or a tax there. Oh man, there's so much more I want to get into from that press conference. John, how long is the last cut? All right. We're going to have to hold off on the last cut because she also talked about something that is bigger than Amendment 2, but needs Amendment 2 in order to keep going. And that is our state government on all levels right now. Everyone's rowing in the same direction. And you're seeing the House, the Senate, and the executive branch all rowing in the same direction. And that direction is towards creating a better climate for business. And oh, by the way, the better climate for business makes for a better climate for you and me when it comes to what we're taxed on a day-to-day basis, year-to-year basis. Here's news. Yep, Matt. I'm my bad. I need to address that. The Will Wade to NC State. You know what? I'm gonna put that in with our news in the next hour, because with the Southern women, to me that was like, we knew Will Wade was going somewhere, so I wanted to put Southern women first because number one, more unusual to see them where they're at, and number two, they're local. Will Wade used to be local, but yeah. Still no attachment. Omar Jeffco. Ever heard of Omar Jeffco?
Can't say I have.
He's the director of stadium security for the Cleveland Browns. He's featured in the new A&E series Stadium Lockup. It premiered yesterday. Do I want to interview him tomorrow? I don't think I do. Oh, no, all the available time slots are during the show. Can't do it. Ever heard of John Lee Bishop?
Gee, no.
You ready for the description of this interview, Haggai?
Oh, hit me with it.
Okay. Wait a minute. They completely changed this. Oh, damn. It's not funny anymore. Let me find the old one, see if it's still in here. All right. There. Okay. This is the one I was reading yesterday. Oh, wait. No. Okay. It is the same one. Here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone does stupid things. We lie to our families. We lie to ourselves. We take long lunch breaks and sneak cigarettes when we say we quit. Sometimes we take a sabbatical from our nice, comfortable life as a pastor of a megachurch and start running drugs for the Sinaloa cartel.
Who doesn't do that?
And then get caught and spend 5 years in federal prison. That's the story of John Lee Bishop. He wrote the book Church of Living Dangerously. I'm so tempted to do this one. I don't know how it applies to anything in Baton Rouge. This would be nothing but pure indulgence on my part.
Just the interesting part of, yeah, I mean, it would be, really? You got bored being a pastor?
The unbelievable true story of John Lee Bishop, a former megachurch pastor who ended up running drugs for the Sinaloa cartel. That's a Netflix series better than Ozark, right?
It sounds like Ozark. I mean,
it's you mashed up Ozark with the Righteous Gemstones.
So a couple, in addition to the missing story,
Mm-hmm.
the Microsoft update taking Copilot out.
Oh no, yeah.
That's just the stupidest thing ever. But then also the one we spent the most time talking about was your kids using AI at school. Is it actually cheating or not?
I just wanted to lead with Michigan because it's something we've never talked about before.
Sure, absolutely. No,
Oh, why is this coffee staying this hot? Definitely a little bit cooler to start off the morning, and tomorrow morning even cooler. How about your full forecast from Emma Kate Cowan? I had so much burning planned for today.
I know. I mean, I was going to burn the house down just for the fun of it, but now I can't.
Mostly crosses for me.
Got some fresh sheets.
I do. Me and 3 friends were gonna start a fire in a trash can and sing 4-part harmony.
There you go.
That's
Out on the corner.
yeah.
Mean streets of Sherwood Forest.
Yeah. Just in the hopes that Rocky Balboa would walk by.
Makes sense.
638 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, you know how we do. It's time for a cup of tech gumbo. Yes, it's time for Cup of Tech Gumbo. Yes, we welcome in Haggai Davis as we do every week. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
We got a couple different topics to cover this morning, but I want to start off with something that dovetails with tech to walk us back to yesterday's Rotary Club meeting.
Yes.
Mark Romig, voice of the Superdome,
Awesome.
or voice of the Saints in the Superdome. Hey, he's basically, all right, for those in Baton Rouge who don't make it down to the Saints games, he's New Orleans' Dan Bornay.
Very good.
All right. So his presentation yesterday, the way he dovetailed talking about the Saints and his family's history with the Saints, dovetailed that into the power of social media.
Being an influencer.
And not an influencer like a Livy Dunn or something, but like we're all influencers on a level where if you've got, 200 friends on Facebook and they see you at, let's just say, Danny's in Bucktown, you're selling New Orleans, or more to the point, you're selling Louisiana.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, it was very, very well done presentation. All right, headline: Forget phishing, PHISHING. Now, mishing is the new security threat to worry about. What is mishing?
So mishing is when you're using the SMS or text messaging as a form of attack. People are sending these messages to make it look like it's your bank or your credit card, and they're wanting you to give credentials back
Mm-hmm.
so that they can help you get online. They're trying to get your credentials, your username, your password, all those kinds of things, your social security numbers, those things via a text message. And it we had phishing. We talked about quishing, a year or so ago, where you scan the QR code, but somebody put another QR code over the top of the one that was on the table at the restaurant that redirected to their website, that went back to the restaurant website. And when you put your credit card in to purchase your meal, now they've got your credit card. That's quishing. Then also vishing, where people take your voice and make it, use the AI generators and take your voice to say, "Hey, this is Brian. Give me a call because I need your such and such information. Get your credentials back." Mishing is just in smishing, whichever one you want to go with. It's using text messages to get your credentials.
Okay, but let's be clear. It's all phishing.
Oh, it's all phishing.
It's the same thing.
It's
all phishing.
It's all a cybersecurity risk.
Just
The biggest problem is
the
now,
nerds are in charge and they have to call it all these different things. It's all phishing.
the problem is because we're all living in our phones. We spend so much time using our phones for everything now.
Mhm.
When they get your credentials, they get into your phone kind of thing, and then you go back and you're logging into the corporate network for your corporate email, or you're getting some files from your corporate OneDrive account. Now they're in the corporate networks as well, and that's where the problem begins.
The text I get most frequently on this one is about some kind of toll road in Golden Meadow or a toll road somewhere in South Louisiana, and I haven't paid my toll. And if I don't pay my toll,
right down to Highway 1 going to Grand.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's not a toll road there.
There is.
Oh no. Oh, well, okay,
It's
no.
the bridge.
Sorry. Let me rephrase that. I have not driven down there.
Okay.
I haven't. I have not taken a toll road down there. But frequently I'll get a text message about toll roads, and I haven't paid my tolls, and they're going to go back and charge me, however much,
because you didn't pay the 50 cents to get over the bridge.
Right. So it's pay the 50 cents, or I'm going to have to pay $100 fine, that sort of thing.
Sure.
That's the one I get the most.
Total sense.
Yeah. Other than that, all I ever see on my phone, what I see the most on my phone is the phone calls that come from. It looks like it's coming from a local area code, and then so I answer the call, and it's someone who is based out of California or wherever, trying to. I've been pre-approved for a loan, that sort of thing. It's the masking of it with the local number.
I don't answer those.
I kind of have to.
I press the button, go to voice message. Leave me a voice message. If you leave me a message, I will call you back because, by the way, I'm probably on the other line. And I'm sorry I couldn't answer your call. I'm on the other line.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many times I don't get a message left for me.
It's that's the flip side of it, though. And like I talk to a lot of people who I don't have their phone number in my phone.
Sure.
Right.
I get it.
So if it's coming from a 225 or a 985 or 337 or what's the new one Monroe's getting? Or what's the new one that North Louisiana's getting? No, 318's been there.
That was the original.
318's been there.
That was the original.
And there's a new one coming, and it's already slipped my mind. Somebody posted up on Facebook Live. I know you know. But if it looks like it's coming from a local or semi-local number, I will grab it based off the probability that it's someone that I'm trying to get in contact with, and like, hey, I want to reach out to so and so. Don't have his number. Can you have him call me?
I had one of the pre-recorded messages that you can push on the button. I'm on the other line. Please leave me your name and number, and I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
I press that button so much that I'm not going to answer a ton of calls. And look, my phone number's on my business card, so I get it. I get phone calls all day long from people that I don't know. But I'm just not going to answer if I don't know the number or if I'm not expecting a call from that phone number.
I want to talk about the latest Microsoft update, but want to squeeze in one other one before we get to our break.
Sure.
And that is TikTok wants teens to stop using the app after 10 p.m.
Yes.
So what are they doing to do that?
Well, TikTok knows how old these kids are.
Yeah.
Whether or not they've actually plugged in their date of birth, what they're doing, TikTok knows how old. At 10 p.m., they're going to shut down the feed of these kids and start playing soothing music to help them get to sleep. And TikTok is very serious about these kids not staying up all night scrolling through their feeds. When this goes back to when they spent that 12 hours turned off, they realized, oh, people are serious about this, about TikTok and what they're doing to kids. I think this is TikTok is trying to be a good, social media citizen, if you will. Something. Yeah. I'm like, you've known this for a long time. I'm not a TikTok person.
Yeah.
Don't have an account, never had an account. So this does not affect me. My kids are old and grown. So I have no way of knowing how this is going to affect the family kind of thing. But they're very serious that at 10 o'clock local time, they're going to shut down your feed.
All right. We're going to have to pause it there. We'll pick it up on the back end. Quick break. We got traffic. We got Your Money Now. Cup of Tech Gumbo continues next. Good morning, Christy.
Troy said the New York 457.
That's what it was. 457. That's what the area code is.
Yeah, 318. There used to be two area codes, 504 and 318.
318. I'm like, crap. I know it changed from.
But I mean, that was when Louisiana. It was somewhere like St. Mary Parish up through Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Because Franklin was 504, but New Iberia was 318 back in the day.
Yeah, I was looking it up. I was like, oh, shoot. Yeah.
1997. No, it's 98. 98, 99, something like that. When we were coffee on the shirt. Middle 1997, 98 was when they were changing. When we had, like, when Baton Rouge went from 504 to 225.
Oh, man, it went through the jacket?
That's me cleaning it went through the shirt.
Oh, shoot.
I did more damage trying to clean the coffee than had to do with the coffee. But I didn't want the coffee to sit there long enough to make a stain, so.
So what was it, Haggai? About 98?
98. So in 1998, you had Baton Rouge was originally part of 504. And when they created the 225, you went a whole year of your phone number working as a 504 or as a 225.
Yeah.
And it gave everybody a year to change their letterheads and business cards. And it was a strange time and that's when 337 was created as well for the folks in Lafayette. They were originally 318. They had a year to go to 337. So you had two phone numbers for a whole year. You had 225, or you had 3337. Yeah. And but on whatever that final day was, everybody starts dialing their 504 number, and it said this no longer a working number. But we had to, because I was at ETEL at the time, and we were telling everybody your number's changing, and I remember being on Channel 2 talking about it, stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. It's a big deal.
It was a very fascinating thing to go through. And so now those folks in Monroe, they're going to have a whole year of 318 and 457, and because you're going to have to give them a year to migrate through the from one to the other, and people are going to be pissed. They're going to, why can't we keep 318 and give Shreveport that new number, and because people were so mad that New Orleans got to keep the 504, and we had to give up you know, New Orleans, you know,
Be bigger. I mean, if they're looking between Shreveport and Monroe, Shreveport's bigger. Big dog gets to, big dog gets to keep it. Look at New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Big dog gets to keep it.
at the time. Yeah,
Still,
it's gotten a lot closer, but
but still.
oh yeah. I mean, New Orleans is the big city.
Right. Because you got to include Jefferson Parish in that.
You do.
Jefferson Parish stays in the 504. Now, where it loses out is, and the map for 985 looks like it was written for a politician.
It was gerrymandered.
It was a gerrymandered area code.
When you put Morgan City and Covington
right
in the same area code,
right, Morgan City and Franklinton.
Yeah,
but
you not Baton Rouge and not New Orleans. I mean that
yeah
looks like what is Troy Carter's district? The second.
Second.
Yeah.
Oh.
I live a quarter of a mile away from his district because this district goes down River Road.
Yes, it does.
He's the levee.
Yeah. So he represents a bunch of cows.
Mm-hmm.
Cows got loose on River Road. Oh. Man, I thought I was going to have an afternoon to myself this afternoon, and now I got to go to a press conference at 2:00 to hear news that I already know. Rick Edmonds is going to propose the school district for St. George. The most, I might try to reach out to Rick Edmonds and see if I can get him on the show tomorrow instead of, in lieu of attending. Sure. You give me lyrics with this one, but when Espresso comes on, it's always instrumental.
Well, I just know how much Haggai enjoys Dave Matthews Band. So
absolutely love it. Love that. Thank you.
Whatever. If I could have found the instrumental for it, I would have.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Cup of Tech Gumbo rolling right along 652 at Talk 107.3 FM in Talk 107.3 FM in Baton Rouge. We got Haggai Davis in with us for a couple more minutes. I got to pivot over to Microsoft because Microsoft made what we would call an unforced error. They had an update recently that accidentally removed Copilot from Windows.
So if you've been paying attention to Microsoft over the past year and a half, really, they've rebranded almost every product to include the term Copilot. In Microsoft 365 Copilot, Windows Copilot, everything. There's a Windows Copilot button on any new Windows PC. They released a patch, their latest update that came out last Tuesday, and it removed Copilot from the tool tray down on the bottom of your screen, and it took Copilot off the computers. You're Microsoft. I mean, you've got to be testing these patches and updates on hundreds or thousands of computers. Did nobody in Microsoft use Copilot to see, hey, where'd my Copilot button go?
Well, it begs the question, what are they using?
Well, they're probably using Claude, because Claude that's the LLM that does such a better job at programming. Anthropic is the company that released Claude, and so
Claude,
yes. If you're a programmer, you use Claude. You don't use Copilot. So, Microsoft, you morons! I mean, you've taken this term Copilot and shoved it down everybody's throat for a
Claude,
yes.
As in, like,
yeah,
CLAUDE,
yeah, as in Saint
like
Claude and Romaine,
like Fletcher's alias Claude Henry Smoot.
Yes.
All right.
Anthropic.
It could also be CLAWED, as in like
CLAUDE.
All right.
Anthropic is the one that released that LLM. But you're Microsoft. You got to be testing these patches and updates. I mean, somebody. Don't tell me there's only one person who looks at these updates before it gets released.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to have 100 people that had to have looked at this update. And
one would hope.
The fact that you released it, and I mean, my computer screen is perfect example that the Copilot button that was down there on my tool tray is gone right now.
Yeah. Why? But I will say this though: when you open Microsoft Word, it was before the update a little bit too much with the Copilot.
Look,
a little bit too much with the suggestions, a little bit too much with the.
A lot of people are not calling this a mistake. A lot of people are calling this a feature.
Yeah.
And that it got rid of Copilot for me. Yay!
Because if they can come back in a way that is a lot less intrusive to where I'm only using Copilot if I'm using Copilot, and I'm using Word if I'm using Word. Like when I open up Word, I know what I want to do. I don't need 3 questions across the top asking me, looking to guide me.
And that's the amazingly stupid thing about this story is that everything Microsoft has Copilot in the name now.
Right.
The only thing that hadn't changed is the name of the company. I mean, Microsoft.com. It'd be curious to see how quickly it becomes Microsoft Copilot.com. And yet they removed it.
Because the other part of this is when I want a blank piece of paper, I want a blank piece of paper. And let's take it a step further. I want my kids to have a blank piece of paper. I don't need suggestions and guidance along the way to help them. I don't know, maybe get some undue assistance when it comes to their homework.
Sure.
And now it looks like that's exactly what's happening everywhere.
So we spent a lot of time talking about this in that artificial intelligence, these ChatGPTs, Copilots, Gemini being used in the classrooms, and how much of it is a good thing, how much of it is cheating, if you will. The fact that, okay, if you're a kid in middle school, high school, college, and you use ChatGPT to write your paper, your entire paper,
right,
you didn't learn anything.
Correct.
If you used it you typed out the paper and you had to go back and correct your grammar, and you understood, you watched them, see what changes it made. Okay, now you're starting to learn something. You're using the tool.
Mm-hmm.
And teachers are having a real big time, or a struggle as to what is an acceptable level of using this tool. Because one of the things in the story that we were talking about is at work you use ChatGPT, and that's being efficient. At school, you use ChatGPT, that's cheating.
Right.
Well, where's that fine line cross? Because now I have my college diploma, and I don't need to learn anymore. I need to work. Because
school is school and work is work. We have less than 2 minutes until the top of the hour. I can do that math in my head. I don't have to show my work. Right. But if we were in class right now, I would have to show you how I figured out that we have less than 2 minutes till the top of the hour.
Totally agree with you. We need to have kids understand critical thinking. We need kids to understand why and how you're doing different things. Don't just let the machine do it and accept it so you can get back to TikTok.
Right. Well, because that's the point of school, though, is to build those traits then so that you have the knowledge base on the back end. I
completely agree. But if you're going to stick your head in the sand and think that kids aren't going to use these large language models to do homework, one girl in the story, she was struggling through school up and through her junior year, but all of a sudden she made A's through her senior year in high school because she used ChatGPT to write all of her papers, and everyone was so excited that she got A's. Nobody bothered to ask why.
Right.
That all of a sudden her writing becomes so much better. Well, so she got an A. She didn't learn anything, but she got an A.
Yeah.
So what? This is a real struggle for me and for educators. I'm not an educator, but for people who are, how do you? And one of the things you can do, if you're a tip out there, if you're a teacher, when a kid turns in that report, ask for the version history. I want to see how many times you went back and saved and made edits.
Cite your sources.
Well, not even just that, but if you look at the version and there's 25 edits, okay, you did something. If it was only one.
Full serving of Tech Gumbo Saturday and Sunday right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Stick around during the news break. He's Haggai Davis. Always appreciate it.
You bet.
That one got away from us. But the phone or the smart technology is making us dumber.
Oh, absolutely.
I could speak to that as someone who, if you had asked me growing up, I had so much useless knowledge in my head that I memorized. Like I could tell you that like Tony Gwynn batted 336 in 1989. Like that was just the stuff like that just would be in my head. But now if you ask me like for the lunch specials at PF Chang's, I have to look them up. If you ask me for Vex European's phone number, I have to have it in front of me in order to get it right.
Sure. I mean, you asked me my wife's cell phone number, which she's had for
No,
30 something years now.
Yeah.
I have to think twice about it because it's just in the phone. Just
Yeah.
and to sit there and the same struggle that we've had for 25 years with the internet and Google in the classroom. Now we have ChatGPT in the classroom.
Right.
Nobody's going to go back and take Google out of the classroom. Google has become part of education now.
Yes. But okay.
And
there are areas where it absolutely should be.
But if you go back to 1997 and say, hey, look, in a few years, we're going to have this search engine called Google, and it's going to help you find all the information that you want. People would have been up in arms and pitchforks and wanting to burn down Frankenstein's castle over it because you just don't do that. You go to an encyclopedia and get your information.
Yeah.
Well, so for 25 years now, we've had this amazing tool, Google. And now we have ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any one of these LLMs that can give you so much more information than just Google could instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's in the article, a Notre Dame football player talked about how when I used ChatGPT to help graduate. Instead of writing the paper myself, I had football practice. Well, this guy went on to create a software program that said his advertising slogan is "Teachers hate our product because we help you write your papers."
Okay, but there needs to be a difference between are we teaching kids to think or are we jamming them up with useless knowledge? One of the things that going to see, like, all right, I don't want to badmouth my daughter's school because it is the best money I've ever spent. My oldest daughter's school is the best money I've ever spent. She's gotten so much out of her education and her entire 4 years at SJA.
Absolutely.
But on parent night, as I'm going from class to class, I can very easily determine which classes that teacher is engaged with making sure their minds are developing and which classes their teachers are. You're going to learn this because you're going to learn it because we've always learned it. Mm-hmm. Well, the world's changed and nobody gives a damn.
Look, as a kid, you had to know Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
Right.
Now kids don't even know who Columbus is because, well, they just pull it up on their phone. Who's Christopher Columbus? Oh, yeah. Okay. He's that guy who left, Spain. Great.
Okay.
I get that.
The knowing that Christopher Columbus just quote unquote discovered the new world in 1492 is one thing. Knowing the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, why can't that just be something you Google?
Well, back before Google, you had to know those things.
I know, but now
you had to know which ship was Columbus actually on of the three.
I don't know.
He was on the Santa Maria. But you had to know that. And I think I remember that. I may be wrong, but I think I was on the Santa Maria. But I mean,
well, you know what? You can Google it.
I can Google it and find out. Somebody in Facebook Live will probably tell us. But yeah,
it's just
this. I get it.
The absolute worst.
I get it, and it's a struggle because how many times have you heard me sit here and say this is a tool? This AI is a tool.
Oh, it's a tool, all right.
It learn to use the tool, or the tool's going to use you. Fine, okay. Use the tool to help make your paper better. Don't use the tool to write your entire paper. See you, Facebook.
Appreciate it, Haggai. Good segment today. Hey, Scott.
Like he's struggling.
7:05, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Hour 2 coming your way right now. Thanks again to Haggai Davis for another great installment of Cup of Tech Gumbo. And sticking around over on Facebook Live for a little bonus coverage as we've just ripped all over English class. I don't know why it took that turn. So good, though. Appreciate it, as always, to Haggai. This hour, we've got State Senator Franklin Foyle coming up in our next segment with a couple of bills that I absolutely love. He's already pre-filed them. He's got more coming up next week. We'll get him back on after those are filed as well. But he's got two bills that have been pre-filed that when it comes to economic development in Louisiana, one of the things you need to look out for is, and that not just economic development, but citizen retention as well. When we want to curb out migration, there needs to be an arsenal of weapons. And when you knock the state income tax, the personal income tax down to 3%, that's starting to build your arsenal of weapons. What Franklin and Foyle's bills do is they whittle those weapons until they're sharp. We'll talk about it in our next segment. We've also got the folks from iCare coming in for our Crimestoppers segment before the hour's up. Right now, though, top stories and trending. Let's go.
Number 5.
Number 5 starts us off with a story that isn't local, but used to be, and a lot of folks wished would be again. This is a sports story, but in my jubilation over Southern University's women's basketball win in the NCAA tournament, I skipped it in sports. Former LSU Tiger head basketball coach Will Wade, he served his 2 years in Lake Charles. He is moving on, moving from McNeese over to NC State, where he will take over head coaching duties there following the NCAA tournament. Of course, McNeese is going to be playing Clemson in said tournament, so he's still got his task at hand in a actually very winnable game.
Number 4.
A lawsuit filed against Constitutional Amendment number 2 has been thrown out by the state Supreme Court. The attorney who filed the suit says the language is vague and non-transparent. The judge says your mom's vague and non-transparent. Amendment 2 overhauls Article 7 of the state constitution, which deals with revenue and finance. It also deals with making the teacher's pay raise permanent by paying down some debt in the state.
Number 3.
East Baton Rouge Parish Mosquito Abatement and Rodent Control Board decided to move a vote originally scheduled for yesterday morning to a later date. The vote would be to approve or reject a budget proposal submitted to them by parish officials as part of the Thrive EBR plan, involving a one-time reduction of $13.25 million from the department's fund balance to support budget stabilization, which would the plan would also allow the department to retain 1 year of operating revenue in their fund balance.
Number 2.
A replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall will be on display in the capital region now through Sunday. The nationally traveling memorial, the Wall That Heals, is set up outside the Life Tabernacle Church along Blackwater Road.
Number 1.
A woman was gunned down outside of Our Lady of the Lake Hospital yesterday afternoon. What police say was a domestic shooting. TJ Morse was on scene. He said it happened along Hennessy Boulevard, or just off Hennessy Boulevard, around 3:45 p.m. The woman's an employee at the lake. She was in the parking lot leaving work when someone shot her. After she was shot, she was taken to the hospital, taken into the trauma unit within the hospital, I should say, where she did later die. The suspect has not been arrested. What's trending, Sean?
Well, comedian Bill Maher continues to get blowback from the left as he takes the Democrat Party to task for their agenda and behavior. Representatives Al Green and Jasmine Crockett are the latest to draw Maher's ire.
Are your social media feeds overrun with Bill Maher?
Actually, they are, and I'm really not sure why. Because, well, I can see why, but I don't really.
Well, you don't do a whole lot of politics when you're not here,
No,
right?
no,
See, I do, but
Yeah.
I've always liked Bill Maher as a comedian.
But
Okay.
that's another thing
And-
too. It's probably in my feed because of the comedy, the stand up, all
Yeah.
these different things.
Fair.
So I'll see him, but yeah, I kind of like this.
Bill Maher
Really
told
like
one of the
this.
greatest jokes, or a joke that's going to stick with me forever.
Mhm.
As he's an atheist. Okay.
Right.
but he grew up in a household where his father was Catholic, but his mother was Jewish.
Yeah,
So
do it.
he used to tell, he say, I grew up, my father was Catholic, my mother was Jewish. I would go to confession, but I'd bring my attorney. Like, that's a brilliant joke. Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. I believe you know, Mr. Cohen. Like, that's just,
oh man,
and that's a 40-year-old joke at this point, and
Yeah.
it's still just as funny as the first time he told it.
that is hilarious. That's my first time hearing it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Finland is named the happiest country in the world for the 8th year in a row, according to the World Happiness Report of 2025.
Whatever,
Finland.
Finland. You don't have Saturday nights in Tiger Stadium. You don't have Mardi Gras. You don't have crawfish. I mean, what do you do in Finland that's so happy all the time?
Aside from, maybe like, I don't know, the views, the Northern Lights, things
We
like
got
that.
views.
Of course we do.
We
But
got
are we
beautiful
happy, Brian?
views.
But are we happy?
No.
We're not happy.
No. Hang on.
We'll
There's
watch
a
the sunrise
there's a discernible
with
difference
a
here.
smug look.
I know, because we want more. That's the American way.
Right, that's what it is.
The mantra in the Haldane household: always happy, never satisfied.
Right.
You want more.
Yes.
I think they're mischaracterizing happiness because we're not satisfied. We want more.
Yeah.
We're happy, but we're hungry, which makes us look miserable.
Yeah. Some things that were on the list of things that make Finland such a happy place: the beautiful landscapes, low crime levels, high standard of living, things like that.
You got a low crime level and you're happy? I talk about being happy when you survive the day.
Right.
It takes nothing to survive the day in
That's
Finland.
where the real
If you
joy
make it to
comes
the end
in.
of the day in Baton Rouge,
Oh.
you've accomplished something. And happiness comes from the achieving a goal.
Oh my goodness. In other news, what's the best Netflix series ever?
right.
Well, according to a recent user survey, Narcos edged out House of Cards for the top spot.
Narcos was in there. House of Cards was in there. You had Stranger Things was number 3 or 4.
You probably had like Wednesday and things like that in there, right?
No, I didn't see Wednesday.
Really? Wow. Okay.
All right, let me be clear.
Mhm.
They did the top 50,
Uh-huh.
but it was in like slideshow form.
Okay.
So it would be very easy to
Gotcha.
miss one. My number 1 was Ozark. And for
Ozark?
the life
Yeah.
of me, I can't find where it was. Like,
That's
how was this
insane that
not
you can't find it. The fact that it's not at least in the top 5.
right?
At least.
Oh, number 13. Ozark was number 13. How in the world is Ozark number 13? It was all the rage. And not just for one season. It was from start to finish. And they started their story and they told their whole story and they ended their story. Unlike Stranger Things, who kind of tried to go the TV model to where
Yeah.
we're going to keep bleeding the story and jumping the shark.
Every 2 or 3 years.
Right.
I mean, I think we're getting season 5 this year, possibly.
Oh, God, are they coming back?
Yeah, they're coming back.
Oh,
I think this is the last season, though. All the kids are grown up now, Brian, though.
No.
Not the
Yeah.
same.
Making a Murderer was number 8.
Okay.
All
See
right.
that? See that?
Mindhunter number 7, Daredevil number 6. The Crown was number 5. Crown would have been my number 2.
Oh, Daredevil, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stranger
so good.
Things 4. Have you ever heard of Dark?
No.
Dark was number 3.
Sounds like
House
something I
of
would have
Cards
heard of.
number 2, and Narcos number 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, the last Netflix series I watched was Midnight Mass. That was incredible. That was really good. The creators of Haunting of Hill House and
Okay.
Bly Manor, things like that. But that was really good.
But see, like
Really good.
Narcos was great for 2 seasons, and then once Escobar is dead,
Right.
spoiler alert, it happened in real life too. And they pivoted over to the Cali cartel. I lost all interest.
Yeah.
It was like season 3 of The Mandalorian over on Disney. It's like once Baby Yoda was,
yeah.
once you've moved
Once
on,
he
you've
was
moved
out,
on.
Yeah.
You've told your story from start to finish. End your story. You've had your arc.
Do you think it's the money grab? The cash grab? They're coming
Do I
back. You know what I mean?
think it's the money
Right,
grab?
right. The cash grab, right? It's got to be. We know it is, but
Yes.
I just, it's
Yes.
the hype. We know.
Shameful. The way they'll
It
just
really
go.
is, yeah.
The way they'll just go grab cash like that.
Yeah.
This whole breakdown was brought to you by Cajun Soft Wash. Check them out online. Actually, we do need to talk about Cajun Soft Wash for just a minute. couldn't be more poorly timed, though, could it? Now, CajunSoftwash.com is where you want to start here, and I'm talking about not just your home. I'm talking about your business as well. They do it better than anybody in Baton Rouge. They've perfected the model here when it comes to soft washing your building, soft washing your roof, soft washing your sidewalk, your driveway, whatever. It's about that time for spring cleaning, right? Well, do it the safe way, do it the effective way. Prolong the life of your roof with a soft wash. You're not going to get up there and pressure wash it and stomp all over your roof with somebody walking around. You soft wash it with safe and effective chemicals, 100% kill ratio for algae, mildew, mold, and the like. You let that stuff linger up there, and it does shorten the lifespan of your roof. Check them out online, CajunSoftwash.com. State Senator Franklin Foyle's next.
That's him on the line as well.
Cool.
Let's see, John. That was the worst. Which one, Debbie? Midnight Mass. Yeah, if that's what you're talking about, yeah, it's not for everyone. I know Franz really liked it, but that might just say something about him and I. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know. I feel like it was good.
A
though.
flurry of texts for that segment. Holy crap.
Good text.
Most of them.
Okay, we'll take that.
Most of them are people want to know where theirs was.
Oh yeah. She said Midnight Mass. I don't know. I thought it was good. I thought it was good with the. I don't know if I should give away anything from it, but I don't know. The ending was really the way it pulled everything together was just amazing. I love the struggle within a character, right? I love the fact that you have this priest who is trying to lead his congregation to God, but also deals with this internal struggle of, well, I'm just going to say it, being a vampire. And so I love that push and pull from that. I just love that kind of threat within, you know?
Oh, snap. $7:18 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So when looking to retain citizens, what Louisiana needs to do is build out an arsenal full of weapons that can make the cost of living go down and the quality of life go up. Our state legislature last year broke a big branch off of a tree to build one of those weapons. Some of the bills pre-filed for this legislative session are whittling that branch to a sharp point. Two of those bills are by State Senator Franklin Foyle, and I love both of them. Sitting in carpool yesterday, waiting to pick up the kiddos and scrolling through pre-filed legislation, because that's what people do, right? You sit in carpool and you scroll through pre-filed legislation. Come across Franklin Foyle's bills and had to get him on the hotline immediately. He's here with us now. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Brian. Thank you for having me this morning.
Not glad to have you on. Glad to be having this talk about these two particular bills. I want to start with the one about excluding certain amounts deposited into ABLE accounts for qualified expenses of persons with disabilities from state income tax. This is not going to affect everybody, but for those that it does affect, it is going to be a big help.
It will be, and I'm very proud of this legislation. I actually set up this savings account several years ago, back when I was in the House. And what happened was Congress passed a law and said a state could set up ABLE accounts and get a federal tax break. And the benefit of an ABLE account is if you have a child with disabilities who you know is not going to college, it gives you a chance also to start saving money for that child's future. And the beauty of the ABLE account is you can use that money for the child when they get older for educational needs or healthcare services, job training, things like that. But it doesn't count against that child if that child needs to get federal benefits as far as an asset. And up till now, there was no state savings. So if you have a college savings account for your child, you get a state deduction of $2,400 per person or $4,800 per married couple. I'm trying to make this even with the Start College Savings Account and put it on the same footing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm adding a state tax deduction, which will help people who want to set up the savings account to get a break.
What I love about this is it says very definitively, like, if this is where you are in your life, if this is the life that you're in, you're not going to be penalized for having a different path than sending your kids to college.
That's exactly right. It's really a matter of fairness. It gives people the same chance to save for their child's future, to help their child out with benefits by starting the savings account program. And it gives you the tax break, which is nice, just like you would get for saving for college. So I'm real excited about it, and really helps a lot of parents out. Most people can't afford to go hire an attorney and set up a trust fund to try to protect these assets. This is something that the state will do for you, and ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience, and it's run under the state treasurer's office.
We're talking with State Senator Franklin Foyle about the two bills that he has thus far pre-filed for the upcoming legislative session, which April 14th, right?
That's right.
Right.
April 14th will be the first day. It'll be a 2-month fiscal session this year.
The other bill you filed already increases the individual income tax exemption for deposits in the Start K-12 program accounts. Increases by how? Well, let's start with where was it, and talk about where you hope to have it head.
Yeah, I also set up this savings account plan at the same time that Trump passed his tax cuts in his first term, because when he passed that bill, it allowed for states to take advantage of getting a federal tax break, not only for the college savings account for START, but also for K through 12. And so I set up a K through 12 savings account to give parents that federal tax break. And when I initially first set it up, because of the cost to the state and where we were, I didn't have any kind of any kind of state income tax break. So a couple of years ago, I was able to raise it, or at least create one, at $1,200, which is half of what you get for college. And mainly because of the cost, I didn't go all the way to $2,400, but it was a start. So this year, I think we need to get that plan on the same level as you would have for the college savings account or the ABLE account, and make them all the same. So it would be a $2,400 tax break per person if you want to set aside money for your child to go to a private school. And if you don't use the money for your child to go to a private school because you like the public school system where they are, then you can roll that money into a college savings account. So it simply rewards people if they want to save for their kids' future, and gives them a little bit of a tax break with the state level and the federal level.
We're talking with State Senator Franklin Foyle about his thus far two bills that have been filed. The Start K through 12 one, Senator Foyle, with where it's at right now, and looking to increase it, for those that send their kids to private school right now, like, if you were starting right now, how long would this take to see some kind of results?
Well, I mean, you can start, as soon as your child is born. And so if you just start putting a little bit of money away every year, and you want to send your child to private schools, starting in pre-K or kindergarten, you could start taking advantage of this program. Obviously, because of the limits that we have, you're not going to be able to pay all of the tuition out of this savings account, but you can build it up over time. And also, grandparents can contribute to this account. So it really is a good tool because, once again, it takes advantage of a federal tax break that you couldn't take advantage of without this program in place. And we're also giving you a state tax break as well. Now, we've been lowering state income tax, and we lowered it this past special session to 3%. So these breaks aren't going to make as much difference if we continue to lower the state income tax. But I'm trying to work in tangent with that and keep moving forward.
So you actually walked me right up to where I wanted to go with this, because yes, we did lower the state income tax from roughly 4.5 down to 3. Now with that, I feel like the next step, and I'm kind of seeing this, I want to know if you see it too. The next step is everybody's going to be looking for the smaller tax breaks, the sharpening of the tools, if you will, as we work our state through a budgetary spot where we want to knock the income tax down to nothing, but I don't know that we can responsibly just yet. These are steps in that direction.
No, you're exactly right. many of us would like to just eliminate the state income tax because other southern states around us that are successful have already done that. But we did not feel like it was responsible to just go all the way to zero because of the hit you would take for your state budget. So we went down to 3%. There'll be a continued effort, I believe, to try to get that lower. But this helps families, once again, who are saving their money. They're trying to take care of their children for their future, and gives families a little bit of a tax break for really being responsible and putting money away for their kids' well-being in the future.
Both of these bills are, of course, going to start over in Rev and Fisk. Do we have any ideas yet about how many bills are being filed ahead of time? What kind of energy and momentum we have heading into this next session?
I think it's going to be a busy session. I've already been meeting with the governor's staff and his department secretaries about some cleanup legislation from the tax special session that we're going to come back and do. You know, it was a very quick special session. It was 2 weeks, and we did a lot of big things. And so there's already going to be some things we're going to have to do to sharpen what we did before. And there's a lot of talk about insurance. I mean, you hear that, the price of insurance in the state, both property and auto. I was at a luncheon yesterday with some State Farm agents, and that's just a big area of concern across the state. So you'll see a lot of legislation trying to address those issues.
Can insurance get solved in a regular session or a fiscal session or otherwise? I mean, what we saw last year was everybody agreed insurance needed to be its own session, and yet it never got the invitation to the dance. And it does tend to get a little bit lost in the wash, specifically the car insurance side, a little bit lost in the wash when it's in the overall agenda of a regular session.
No, I agree. It is a big lift, and I will say, what has been very helpful during the interim this year, both the House Insurance Committee and the Senate Insurance Committee, which I'm a member of, we've been having interim meetings and bringing in different experts and people from industry to give us ideas on what we can do to make things better. We did take some pretty big steps on property insurance last year.
Oh yeah,
and we had a presentation last week to my committee on the fortified roof program. It's a great program. We need to put more money in it, and that helps the property insurance side. We haven't really made much stride on the auto insurance. There are a lot of different ideas about what will make it better. It's hard to know what will really work. You get a lot of good ideas from different people, but I think you'll see some steps. We can't just do nothing at this point. We need to make some changes because what we have right now is just not working.
We got just a couple minutes left with State Senator Franklin Foyle, and I greatly appreciate your time this morning. In those last couple minutes, Senator Foyle, I want to pivot over to something coming up on the March 29th ballot. That's Amendment 2. Going back to the work y'all did last session, I feel like we can't maximize the work y'all did unless amendment. And look, I don't always have a take on constitutional amendments, but this is one where I'm having trouble seeing the downside on, because it feels like we're seeing on a statewide level, everybody's rowing in the same direction right now. And without Amendment 2, I don't know that you get your paddles back in the water.
Yeah, this definitely keeps the momentum going forward, and it's a big piece of the package. I'm very supportive of Amendment 2. I worked very hard to handle that bill on the Senate side. And what it does, and generally speaking, is it takes a lot of things that are in the Constitution, a lot of provisions, and puts them in statute. And it basically rewrites Article 7, which is the financial part of the Constitution. And you've heard me for years saying, hey, we need a constitutional convention because we have too much stuff that's mandated in the Constitution. It ties our hands when we have budget issues, and so higher education and healthcare are always on the chopping block. And so what this does is it puts a lot of things in statute. And you have some pushback from some groups, but if I ask them to specifically tell me what do you oppose, I just get general answers. But if you look at this, it lowers the maximum income tax rate in this state. It raises for senior citizens on their taxes. To get a tax break, you would go from a $21,000 tax deduction for a married couple to $74,000. That's huge to keep our seniors here in this state. It continues to keep the homestead exemption in the Constitution. It gives you more flexibility to get rid of, for example, the inventory tax, which is a bad business tax. That's another example. We can't get rid of that tax unless you do a constitutional amendment. It never should be in the Constitution in the first place. So there are a lot of things like that we're getting rid of. We combine our two rainy day accounts into one. We don't need two, and we take some of that money and use it for infrastructure projects. And finally, we take some of the money out of an educational trust fund, which isn't getting much of a return, and pay down the retirement debt for teachers and get teachers a permanent pay raise. So there are a lot of really good things about it. There might be some tweaking that can be done, but people tell me they're tired of going every year to the ballot box and have to vote on constitutional amendments.
Same. Completely. And I'm still on board with the Constitutional Convention. I just like the fact that Amendment 2 frees us up time to make sure we get it right.
It does, and so it's a big step. And once again, we kept things in the Constitution, like the homestead exemption.
Yeah.
I actually went back on the Senate side and put in a property tax exemption for churches. For the nonprofits, they would be in statute; they'd still be protected. It would be a 2/3 vote. So it's really a big, in my opinion, would be a big win for our state, and we would really move forward and be able to do a lot of good things if this amendment passes.
He is State Senator Franklin Foyle. We will talk to you soon, sir. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Brian. Take care.
Thank you. Here's news. Yeah. I do need to go grab them off the printer, though. Now, listed on the email, there's a middle name for you here. Dawn Collins, right? That's what I thought. Definitely a little cooler to start off your morning. Going to be even more so tomorrow. Here is your full forecast, as Emma Kate Cowan. Have them hold on for a minute. You gotta work. .736 to Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. It is time for Crime Stoppers. Let's go.
Like this?
Bring it around.
Oh, like this?
Yeah, that way.
Okay.
Yes, it is time for Crime Stoppers, and every so often with Crime Stoppers, we hand things off to Eye Care, the great folks at Eye Care. And this week we're talking with Dawn Collins. Good morning. Welcome back. How are you?
Fine. I'm doing amazingly well. And yourself?
Doing very well as well. I'm appreciating this little cool snap. This little
Yes.
last little cool snap. You know,
Yes.
tomorrow's gonna be nice and chilly.
Oh,
Nice and chilly.
okay.
But
Well,
then
see, I don't like cold too much. I appreciate today, but I don't know if I look forward to
you're
tomorrow.
not looking forward to tomorrow for sure. Let's talk a little bit about Capillary Human Services. So tell listeners who you are and why you're here today.
All right. So I'm Dawn Shanae Collins. I am with Capital Area Human Services, the Prevention and Wellness Division of Capital Area Human Services. Who is Capital Area Human Services? We are one of 10 LGEs, local governing entities, created by statute in Louisiana to work hand in hand with Louisiana Department of Health.
Okay.
Okay, and we have 3 bucket areas of services. So we have mental health services, we have addiction services, and we also have developmental disability services.
So you're created by the State Department of Health.
We are created by it was Louisiana, the Louisiana legislature at one time said, hey, we need to make a special effort to focus on mental health, developmental disabilities, and substance misuse treatment. And so we have 10 of these organizations across the state. Capital Area in particular serves a 7-parish region. We serve Ascension, Iberville, Point Capee, East and West Baton Rouge, East and West Feliciana.
Okay. I'm the areas that you're dealing with right now, the 3 that you mentioned, they are growing problematically, they're growing, but they're also evolving as well. For example, when you talk about addiction,
yes,
we're finally starting to see a drop in fentanyl overdose deaths.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that the problems of addiction are going away by any stretch of the imagination.
Correct. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Addiction is the prevalence of addiction, as well as mental health illness, is very high right now. And it's something that people need to work hard at addressing. And I say that in a sense of, so another hat I wear, a fact that you might find interesting, especially here at Crime Stoppers, is that I'm also a public defender.
Okay.
And so then the two go hand in hand. And what I'm seeing, oftentimes, folks that are involved in nefarious activities, if you will, or alleged to be involved. Let me use the proper language as a public defender, alleged to be involved in nefarious activities, suffer with mental health and substance misuse problems. And so, but the big piece is that some of them don't want to address those issues. And so I raised that up to say, and it's not, oh, I just like living foul. It's a genuine denial of an issue. And so family members.
But you have to walk that line of not letting one be an excuse for the other.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely not a matter of, pat somebody on the hand.
Right.
You have a problem, carry on with your day of crime, your life of crime. No, it's okay, client so-and-so, or community member so-and-so, or family member so-and-so, because this is a problem that's prevalent in every single demographic. It's a matter of, okay, you can keep living like this and causing problems for yourself and others, or you can accept that you have a problem and treat it and deal with it and work on it.
And there are resources to go down that avenue.
Of which Capital Area is one.
Yeah, Capital Area Human Services is a great one. Charlotte Claiborne over at Bridge Center for Hope is doing some miraculous work as well. So there's answers out there without going down a path that runs you afoul of the law.
Absolutely.
So we're way off task though. I think we're supposed to be talking about Project Sticker Shock today.
Oh yes, well,
what is Project Sticker Shock?
Project Sticker Shock is another tool to help deter substance misuse, in particular alcohol misuse in teens. And so it's a marketing campaign where we have a culminating event. We partner with a responsible vendor this semester here in East Baton Rouge Parish. We partnered with Rouse's.
Okay.
And so we met at Rouse's earlier this week. Excuse me. We met at Rouse's earlier this week with some teenagers from Astruma and Broadmoor High School. We had Director McCray from the Louisiana ATF. We had Councilman Darrell Hurst. So we had community leadership present, and we had, of course, our amazing partner, Eye Care. And so Project Sticker Shock, again, is a marketing campaign against underage drinking, but the target audience is not just the children, but the adults who enable by purchasing the alcohol.
Okay. So, and this is a very important part here because I am 48 years old, which means I'm the last year where the drinking age was 18. And we have quite the prevalence of Louisiana of saying, this is how I grew up. There's no reason the next generation can't grow up the same way. As things have evolved and moved on, we have not adapted, as part of our lifestyle. This is our lifestyle in Louisiana.
It is.
So
in many places,
a lot of Project Sticker Shock is making sure that there's an awareness there that as a grown-up, I know the difference between drinking and overindulging.
Yes, prayerfully.
Depends on the night, but that's not going to be the same thing. You can't expect a teenager to have those same guardrails because they haven't built towards that.
Correct.
And they shouldn't be building towards that because it's against the law.
Correct. So the sticker shock is, hey, you can be fined for purchasing these for purchasing alcoholic beverages for young people, but also too, again, going and dealing with mental health and substance misuse. The issue becomes the earlier you expose a young person is exposed to substances that are intoxicants, then the higher risk they have.
Right.
And so then as the family member, as the favorite uncle or favorite auntie or what have you, it's important not just the sticker shock of the fines that you could have in purchasing an alcoholic beverage for a young person, but what damage could you cause to their lives?
How prevalent is addiction in teens?
addiction in teens, the usage rates of alcohol and substances, of all substances, is reported at um, about 10%, including marijuana. And then addiction is of those is about 17%.
17%. And in adults, it's what?
In adults is about 30.
Wow. Oh, wow. That is stark.
Of those who use.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. That is a stark number. I mean, obviously, you're not going to be happy till the number's 0.
Mhm.
But how are we looking to address that 17%?
Well, again, with marketing campaigns like Project Sticker Shock, saying adults be mindful, don't enable the underage drinking of those under 21. Um, having conversations like we're having today on the radio waves,
Mhm.
um, and uh, and adults taking ownership in terms of uh, speaking to their loved ones about these matters. It's all about relationships and connections.
Dawn Collins with Capital Area Human Services is our guest. This is our Crime Stopper segment, and we're visiting with Dawn as part of the eye care segment today. Before we get to eye care's role and Crime Stopper's role in this, I do want to walk down the path of when it comes to the 17% with the addiction. Is I would imagine it's much tougher to get those 17% to end their addiction than to have the 83% not start an addiction. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, because the very definition of addiction is a chronic brain disease. It's a chronic brain disease. And so then relapse is something that's common, even in those that are well intended, of any age. Relapse is common, even among those that are very well intended. Because what has happened when someone has a substance misuse problem is that their brain at some point becomes hijacked. Nobody picks up a drink, nobody smokes a joint, nobody snorts cocaine or shoots heroin saying, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I want to go to jail. I want to tear up the relationships with my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins. No one starts saying that that's the kind of life that they live. And so, yes, absolutely. It is very problematic. It is very difficult once you start on a path. Once you go down the path of addiction, it's very difficult.
How can I help? How can everybody in the listening audience help?
Again, as Project Sticker Shock, as the marketing campaign goes with Project Sticker Shock, again, do not enable. Yes, young people are going to venture and experiment, et cetera, but it's our responsibility as the adults to say, hey, you have your whole entire life to drink responsibly. You don't need to start now. And that's the primary thing that we can do.
Let's talk about in a set. We got about a minute left.
All right.
Your relationship with eye care and your relationship with Crime Stoppers is what?
So, Capital Area Human Services values greatly our partnership with eye care. We work with each other, and Crime Stoppers. We work with each other on various projects. As we've already mentioned, we talked about Project Sticker Shock. When we do other outreach events, we will work with eye care as well. One in particular we've done substance misuse training and opioid overdose training, reversal training with East Baton Rouge Parish Schools and eye care. And so we look forward to doing more of that.
She is Dawn Collins with Capital Area Human Services. We appreciate a couple minutes this morning.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's your money now. That went by way too fast.
It did.
That was way too fast.
All right.
Oh my goodness gracious. Good stuff though.
Yes,
Good job.
yes. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Oh yeah. Yep. We'll see you then. Man, Anthony Kenney was supposed to come in, and then he texted during the segment because he needs to call in now. What did the caller want?
me say this on Facebook. So he kind of addressed some Franklin Voiles comment about how he hadn't heard any questions about Amendment 2, but he said the customer was letting us know that he was an attorney. He refused to give his name or anything
Sure.
like that, but he said Franklin Foyle actually addressed that on his Facebook, on his personal Facebook. So I don't know.
Well, I'm having trouble deciphering what.
Yeah,
what did he?
I guess Franklin Foyle had mentioned that he hadn't heard any questions about Amendment 2, or he hadn't received any questions about Amendment 2.
Okay.
But he's like, yeah, like I said, I don't.
All right, that's fine. If you don't know.
yeah, that's what I was hoping to clarify.
Hey, the cuts that were supposed to be for this segment, I need you to save them for tomorrow.
Okay.
What we're going to do instead in this segment is LED 2 and 3.
Okay. That's the same one
from 625, but we didn't get to number 3.
So 2 and 3. Tomorrow.
Excuse me. $7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks again to Dawn Collins for stopping in for our Crime Stoppers segment. We're going to get back to the Amendment 2 discussion. If you were listening on our first hour, we had some audio from Economic Development Secretary Susan Bourgeois from a recent press conference talking about Amendment 2 from an economic development standpoint. We'll get back into that in just a second. I do need to remind you about the folks over at Landmark Bank. Check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. Landmarkbankla.com, a community bank. Been a community bank for over 100 years, and that's what they want to be. They want to remain a community bank, your community bank. And don't just turn to them as a bank, turn to them as your banker. When you walk through the front door, you're shaking hands with your banker, someone who can help you out with that next home loan or purchasing your first home, someone who can help you out with growing your business or starting your business, someone who is going to be here for your needs to help build their community. Your community and their community are synonymous. Check them out online at landmarkbankla.com. Landmarkbankla.com. You'll find the branches. You'll find the locations when you get there. You'll find them in Denham. You'll find them in Zachary. You'll find them in Bruley. You got a handful of other locations as well in Baton Rouge's surrounding area. But from their start, they've been community-based and community-focused and a community bank. Landmarkbankla.com. So Amendment 2, reworking Article 7 of the state constitution, working on our tax structure, working on freeing up some money to pay teachers a little more, working on making sure that everything that went down in last year's sessions, not just the one regular session, but last year's sessions, has the ability to continue to move forward to see Louisiana become more appealing towards attracting businesses and retaining residents. Susan Bourgeois addressed this.
When companies look at investing here, either in an expansion, in a new location, in growth, whatever it is, there are two critical things that they look at first before we're either going to make the list or we're not. And number one is the cost of doing business there. Number two is the ease of doing business there.
Secretary Bourgeois went on to talk about something that I don't think we've seen much of lately, and I want to learn how to capitalize on it. I'm not going to give any further setup for this next soundbite. It runs almost a minute long, but just hear her out as to where she went after that.
I don't believe I have ever seen an issue or an initiative be approached with such a whole of government approach that we're using here. I mean, if you're on social media, you see legislators doing videos on it. You see our trade associations doing videos on it. I mean, obviously the secretary has been all over the state. The governor has been all over the state. Legislative members, I'm doing the same thing. And I would hope from a press perspective, you all both recognize it and sort of take something away from that just like we believe economic development requires a whole of government approach, I think you're just seeing a whole of government approach to this amendment and the intentionality trying to get it passed and trying to communicate with our citizens the importance of it.
Everyone rowing in the same direction. We don't see that very often. And now that we're a full year into Jeff Landry's tenure, now that that huge freshman class of legislators is now, they're now in their second year as well. And it's hard to say just their second year because of the stack of special sessions they had last year as well. But it's normally about this time that the gloss starts to wear off a little bit. But it feels like the polar opposite. When you see everyone working together, does that resonate with you as a resident, as a citizen? Does that resonate with you to bring you in and make you want to be more on board? Let's talk over on Facebook Live. What could possibly be different this morning? Is it worse this morning? What's he going off on? What am I missing? Really? Is it good? I got 2 reminder emails that I have to be there tomorrow. I'm doing my best not to get overconfident. Enjoy that. Yep. Who the hell is this? That's not a person, it's a bot. Yeah. My watch says I have to stand up. I'll be back in a second. But there's just I understand why I have nothing left in my tank. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't killed my will to live. Yeah. I know. Which I was hoping Anthony would be in studio. I've never met him in person before. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. Rip, roar, and energy. His fellow council members speak highly of him, and I've never had a council person from District 2 on the show before, because previously that council person was Shauna Banks, who almost came on the show once and then walked out. Uh-huh. And the thing is, the Franklin Foyle segment was really good. Haggai segment was good. The sound bites with Bourgeois are solid. It's man. 806 Talk World 73 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 3 coming your way right now. Brian here with you. John LaBeouf producing. We are starting the third hour of the show at 51 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. We got a busy hour this hour. Metro Councilman Anthony Kenney in our next segment. We're talking with Chris Csonka from the CJCC later on in the hour. What is the CJCC? The Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. They got their public safety summit coming up, I believe, starting this evening and rolling through tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to that conversation because this summit covers so much ground. Now, we're going to get you to this day in history in just a second. But before we do, I do need to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. Mathern's is up and running in Kenilworth. Well, technically, they're up and running on Highland Road right in front of the Kenilworth subdivision. But if you remember, if you're an old school resident of the Kenilworth subdivision or Magwoods, or you're anywhere around there, let's say your church is St. Jude. If you're in that area, you remember Kenilworth Supermarket? It was owned by, the Mathern's. And as they grew and evolved and moved around a little bit, that supermarket became a Robear's. Well, Mathern's is back. The family you miss, the prices you miss, they're coming back. They are back. So if you need to knock out the grocery list this evening, this weekend, whatever the case might be, they're right there on Highland, behind the Highland Road Superior Grill. They're right there on Highland, not too far from the entrance of Kenilworth. Mathern's is here for you. And oh, by the way, if you have the Mathern's Rewards app, you could be earning cash towards more groceries every time you shop at Mathern's. All right, this day in history, let's go. Go for it, John.
All right.
All of it.
Okay. Well, then let's start off in 1345.
As you would.
Conjunction of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, thought by scholars at the University of Paris to be the cause of the plague epidemic known as the Black Death.
They blamed other planets for that?
Yeah, but the actual cause was just a bacterium from fleas, rats, and other animals.
Yeah. I never knew that they blamed other planets for that.
Right. I mean,
why didn't we do that with COVID?
Yeah, right. It's all, I'm not going to say, it's all Jupiter's fault.
Yes. 100%.
I'm not going to say it's all Uranus's fault.
Oh.
Hey, 1774, the British Parliament passes first of the intolerable acts, the Boston Port Act, which closed the Boston Harbor until colonists would pay for damages following the Boston Tea Party.
Okay.
Uncle Tom's Cabin was released today in 1852. Of course, the anti-slavery novel was published in Boston by author Harriet Stowe.
It's important to determine between the novel and the song.
Yes,
that's a huge difference right there, right?
Yeah,
it was the novel came out. You said 1852.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Song came out. I believe it was 89 or 90. The song by Warrant.
Yeah.
God, I miss hair bands.
Yeah. That might have been covered, I think, by Rage Against the Machine as well. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that. 1854, the Republican Party is formally organized. And what is this? Ripon, Wisconsin?
Okay.
Ripon, R-I-P-O-N?
Don't know.
Ripon?
No.
Ripon, Ripon.
We'll just move on.
I thought you would know these things, Brian.
I don't know what town the Republican Party was formed in.
Come on. Hey, 1930. Speaking of founding, American fast food restaurant chain Kentucky Fried Chicken is founded as Sanders Court and Cafe by Colonel Harlan Sanders
Awesome.
in North Corbin, Kentucky. Let's see. You know what? 2016, former President Barack Obama becomes the first U.S. president to visit Cuba since 1928,
Okay.
arriving for a 3-day tour with First Lady Michelle.
3-day tour of Cuba.
Hey, I think you'll like this. 2019, a woman who can smell Parkinson's disease has helped researchers identify molecules on the skin of people with the disease in Manchester, England. She can smell it, Brian. Brian, she could smell Parkinson's.
How do you smell Parkinson's?
I don't know, but this woman could do it. Hey, speaking of smelling people, former President Joe Biden in 2024 announced a new rule limiting tailpipe pollution aimed at greatly expanding electric vehicles in the U.S.
Yeah, I'm sure that trend is long since gone, right?
Right.
EVs don't matter anymore now that we all hate Elon Musk, right? Isn't that the way that's supposed to be?
So it's supposed to be, Brian.
EVs are important. EVs are the future. You can get your EV. Well, not Tesla, though.
No.
The largest and best manufacturer of them.
Right.
No.
Of course not. Moving on to birthdays.
Sure.
I got Mr. Rogers himself, Fred Rogers, today.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spike Lee today as well.
Yep.
Let's see. I had one more. Michael Rappaport today as well.
Friend of the show, Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
He and his wife came on the show to talk about their podcast.
They did.
That was a surprisingly fun interview.
Really fun. He kept the language down.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that.
Talked about
No
his
problem
political
there.
rants on Twitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That was good. Is
That was good.
that all you got on birthdays?
Well,
Can't
I
be.
got a few, but I mean, I was going to save some for you, Brian.
Okay. I got Carl Reiner over here.
Okay.
Born on this day in 1922. I got Pat Riley, born on this day in 1945. I've got former Canadian hockey player Bobby Orr, born on this day in 1948. I have also got, one of the best Saints of all time. All right, if you're ranking the best Saints of all time, he's going to be on your list somewhere. Ricky Jackson, part of the Dome Patrol, born on this day in 1958.
All right. Is that it for birthdays
Yeah.
on your end?
Yep.
As far as deaths go today, I've got Kenny Rogers today.
Yeah.
2020 passed away. And also another one up here. Let's see. Big John Studd. You remember him?
No, I do not.
The wrestler, Big John
Oh,
Studd.
good
For all you
Lord.
wrestling
Seriously?
fans out there.
All right.
Come
I
on,
don't.
man. There are
I
people
don't.
that are stoked. They're like, well, at least saddened. Maybe they're not that stoked, but they're sad. Hey, today, International Day of Happiness. Speaking of, we were talking earlier about
With
Finland.
Finland and their fake happiness index.
Fake happiness.
Whatever.
Hmm.
National Day of Happiness.
Yeah.
You see, it's such a trap, though, John. Am I supposed to be happy about this?
Are you supposed to be happy about
'Cause they
the
are in
International
Finland.
Day of Happiness? Of
Ugh.
course. Apparently, all the
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Just so giddy, just prancing through the streets with their happiness.
It's also the first day of spring.
It is.
So can we roll with that one instead?
Sure.
8:14, Talk 107.3 FM. Quick break. Metro Councilman Anthony Kenney's next.
What is this alien abduction day? What are you talking about? It's celebrated on March 20th every year? No, it's not. No one's celebrating that. And although we're not sure how the date was chosen or when it started being celebrated, we know that the Alien Abduction Day Festival in Toronto, popularized in 2008? No. Mr. Anthony, we'll be calling him or he's calling.
I gave him our hotline number. Let me
Okay.
give you his number. taking a nap after the show. That's all there is to it. I will need a studio at 11:15ish. I'm gonna record Medical Monday. You want to answer? Or do you just had to call me? That's fine. You're good. Two people were there. They just walked out the door. What were they here for? I don't know. No, I don't. Weird. 817 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Coach Kim Mulkey and the LSU Tigers host San Diego State in round one of the NCAA tournament Saturday. Our coverage, this is a late one. Our coverage begins with pregame at 8:45. Tip-off will be at 9:15. Patrick Wright, Shaida Williams will be on the call. Yours truly will be doing his best to stay awake on the board. You're home for LSU women's basketball. Let's talk 107.3 FM. All right. Time to welcome to the show for the first time. New council member, youngest council member from District 2. We've got Mr. Anthony Kenney with us. Good morning, Councilman Kenney. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing very well. This is going to be basically an overview here. We'll get issue specific as we have you on more often, but I just want to start with a bird's eye view. First and foremost, congrats on the win. I know you're a couple months in now. How are you adapting to the new gig?
It's been great. Being a neighborhood son of the district, my entire family has been from this area, and so being able to pour back and be the councilman for the same village and the community that I grew up in, I went to high school in, I was raised in, is definitely a full circle moment, man. So it has been definitely a great 3 months, a busy 3 months, an interesting 3 months. It's been an interesting 3 months for Baton Rouge, but definitely thankful and blessed to be able to be in this position to lead within my community.
What made you want to run in the first place?
For me, especially be a young millennial and a young professional in the Baton Rouge area, not only want to give back to my community, but I definitely saw a need for a leader within my generation to step up into elected position. Prior to me being elected, there was nobody under the age of 30 years old that was an elected official within East Baton Rouge Parish. And so when I think about individuals who are my age, in my generation age group, I definitely feel like it's time for us to step up and be the leaders within the community. And so I wanted to give myself to public service, and I wanted to step up not only to give back to my community and unify my community, but also be a voice and a torch spot within the Baton Rouge community as well.
Your bio says you were a member of the Human Jukebox. What do you play?
I played cymbals and percussion. I was a drums guy.
Okay. Drums a big part of the Human Jukebox for sure.
Yeah, that's the heartbeat.
Wait. Snare, bass, toms, what?
I was cymbals. My primary instrument.
Cymbals. All right. You said that.
Yeah.
We're talking with Metro Councilman Anthony Kenney. He represents District 2. All right, let's dive in. From the time you were sworn in until now, what has been the toughest part of the learning curve?
So being that this is my very first time ever being elected and coming to a role as a councilman right out the gate, I would definitely say just learning the ins and outs of city parish government.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people city parish government being the councilman, you're the closest person to the people. And so your office has the closest access to the actual people on the ground. So making sure just learning the stakeholders, learning the players in the community, learning the individuals, who are the shakers and the movers. Also, just navigating through Baton Rouge politics. I call it spider web. But I think overall, despite people's different political ideologies, backgrounds, upbringings, right, just navigating and understanding, who are the power players who really want to see North Baton Rouge be a prospering and thriving community.
All right, you mentioned North Baton Rouge right there, and that's one of my soapboxes that I get on. North Baton Rouge is huge. I always feel like North Baton Rouge it struggles to grow because you're talking about such a large swath of area there that's given one name as opposed to all the individual neighborhoods that are within it. What can you do in your role to help remedy that?
So one of the things I want to do is create a unified master plan. During my time on election trail, I noticed there was so many different plans and so many individuals and organizations who's been working in silos in the North Baton Rouge community, and especially in District 2. And so I saw a need to say, hey, why we have so many master plans, and I always joke and say, which master plan is the master. And so one of my key initiatives and my key platform points is creating a unified master plan, which is bringing together all the pre-existing plans that has been in District 2. So you have various plans from the Southern University, Schuylerville Master Plan, which is in my district. You have a Schuylerville Hill Master Plan. You have a North Baton Rouge, that master plan, Plank Road Master Plan. It's so many master plans, right?
Right.
But we do not have one unified master plan. The most recent one was from former Mayor Kip Holden, and actually his master plan expired last year. And so the last phase of his master plan was the revitalization of the Greenwood Park and kind of the new additions to the Brick Zoo. And so now after that plan, there is not one unified vision for the District 2 North Baton Rouge community. And so that is why, in part, making sure we're unifying the community and making sure the community has a voice, the stakeholders has a voice at the table, because I completely understand, I cannot set a vision and course for the community without bringing everybody who has a part to this community to the table. And so breaking the silos, unifying all the stakeholders as well, and also as well making North Baton Rouge and District 2 an inviting and thriving community. And so we have to make sure North Baton Rouge, and we letting people know North Baton Rouge and District 2 is open for opportunities, it's open for business. And so us as the leaders within this community, right, we have to be on the same page. We can't work in silos. We can't have different visions for North Baton Rouge. And so that is why we need to get on the same page how we want North Baton Rouge to be over the next decade.
You've been recently holding some community meetings, kind of get the pulse of the people who voted you in, and those who might have voted for somebody else as well, because you represent everybody there. What has come out of those community meetings? What have you learned through the course of these community meetings as to how it's going to guide you in your office?
So just kind of tying a little back to the master plan, the first phase we wanted to do is actually go to the community and actually get their direct input. We had our very first one this Monday. We had about a good 45 to 60 people that attend, which is a good number for a singular meeting. And, we got a good post, right? A lot of people engaged, a lot of people coming. I tailored the meeting along with my team to make sure it's just not a meeting I'm just standing there and just speaking about what I feel like the district should need. And so, my staff takes the lead of the meeting. It's very engaging. It's very interactive. We break off probably into groups, the individuals that come, and we actually have them amongst themselves. We give them like 4 or 5 pillars to think about, such as infrastructure, public safety, youth and education, crime. And so we let them sit down amongst themselves at tables and actually brainstorm. And so it's actually a brainstorm/brain dump session. And so they take the sticky notes and actually bring them to the bigger sticky notes that we have around the room. And then at the end, they actually do a presentation around it to kind of talk to the issues that they and ideas and the solutions that they want to see to the issues, right? And so that's the opportunity for my team to collect data, to collect those voices, to collect those solutions, so we can make sure as we kind of craft this unified master plan, we already have in the forefront the issues, the ideas, and the solutions that the community wants to see to these particular pillars in our community.
Okay, so what are a few of the pillars and what are the few of the ideas?
So you have some of the pillars: economic development, infrastructure, public safety, and youth. I would say definitely, let's say, for example, economic development. And when you talk about Schuylerville and District 2 in North Baton Rouge, right? Let's talk about Schuylerville. So Schuylerville is the heartbeat of District 2. So that is like the first entrance. If you're coming to Southern University, it is the first entrance to North Baton Rouge in that area. And so we don't have a nearby grocery store. And so that is one of the key things a lot of people push, because the nearest grocery store in that area is 15, 20 minutes out. So if I'm a student at Southern University, if I'm a constituent in Scotlandville, I have to go out 15, 20 minutes to Baker, Louisiana, or to Central Louisiana, or outward Baton Rouge to get to a nearby grocery store. And so just think about the many barriers that individuals may face, such as transportation. It's lack of access to those type of qualities they need to have. But I could definitely say individuals want to see more blight be eradicated in the area. They want to see more development. They want to see more businesses, right? But I believe at the center of it, the biggest thing a lot of people push is a grocery store, and I believe a grocery store can be the anchor of economic development to invite business into the community, and that is what the community has been asking for decades. I have individuals who's been living in the community with Scotlandville is a thriving community, and they always give me the comparison when you think about Perkins Row and how Perkins Row has been developed and such a kind of catalyst for economic development on that side of town, that Scotlandville used to be its own thriving community with grocery stores, right? With family-owned business, even with a movie theater, literally on Scenic Highway. And so a lot of people want to see the kind of that rebirth of economic development for the area, and really just holistically want to see Scotlandville be a thriving community. Recently, there's been like a small uptick in crime in the area. Recently, a student from the area who was 17 years old was killed getting off the bus stop. And so that was a call to action for a lot of people to say, hey, we have a definite issue within our community and we cannot get comfortable. And so we want to make sure for our children, for our future kids, they're able to live in the communities such as North Baton Rouge and Scotlandville. And they don't feel as if they have to live somewhere else, right? To be inside a thriving and living community.
The grocery store thing has been one that has been a problem for some time. A problem that's slowly being addressed. It takes a lot for folks to make an investment into opening a business. But man, when you put it in terms of Southern University students, you've got that campus there, you got those dorms there, you got those apartments there. The thought that it's a 15, 20-minute drive just to do groceries. I mean, that's pretty stark. Putting it in those terms really is a slap in the face, or the slap in the face to wake us all up. Did we lose him?
Say that last part again. It was breaking up. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, we get you back there. We're talking about Metro Councilman Anthony Kenney. When we talk about the grocery store and the food deserts and all that stuff, putting it in terms of having Southern University nowhere near a grocery store, I mean, it's really a wake up call. Yeah,
absolutely. I've been in conversation with local elected officials and local leaders at Southern University, and so they are very intentional. They understand they want their students to live and be around a thriving community. I recently graduated from Southern University about 6 years ago, and so during my time there, I have classmates who came from bigger metropolitan cities, right? And so when they come to Southern University, for the college experience, for the education, for the HBCU experience, you come from these bigger metropolitan cities. But, when you bring your child for the first time and there's nothing in that area, for your child to get food other than a McDonald's or a wing place or a Jack in the Box, and nothing, against those businesses, right? But, these kids, when they leave Southern University and let's say they go drive down College Drive and they see a whole entire college town where you have Walmarts, Rouses, Sprouts, within walking distance, 5-minute distance of each other, it's a wake up call. And so for that still be the issue today, 6 years later, it is something I don't want another 10 years, another term to go by where students in Southern University just come to campus just for school and leave, right? You want those students to stay on this side of town, to keep their money, to invest their money on this side of town so this community can grow, because Southern University benefits from what happens in District 2 in Scotlandville. So we have to make sure we invest to the actual community that houses that historical institution.
We've got just a little over a minute left with Anthony Kenney, Metro Councilman, District 2, Anthony Kenney. His first visit here. We're going to get a lot more issue specific in the future, Anthony, but for now, it's kind of just to get to know you. All right. What's it like working with the other council members, I should say? Who's the best? Who's the worst?
I can't make that determination now.
Yes, you can.
I'm not gonna make the determination now, but I can definitely say all of them has been very inviting, been very helpful for me being a freshman on the council. All of them bring a different skill to the table. You have individuals such as Darrell Hurst, who is very expressive, who is very engaged, who is my other counterpart in the North Baton Rouge area on the council wise. You have members such as Brandon Noel, who is the mayor pro temp. He does a lot of amazing things. He had a lot of big shoes to fill with former councilmember Lamont Cole in his spot, but he has been doing an amazing job being a pro temp. But I would definitely say across the board, all the council members are great. they're great representatives for their respective communities. And so I'm making sure I'm taking a little bit for each one to learn. I'm intentionally sitting back and just learning the lay of the land, and making sure I just listen, right? The biggest thing is just listening, not only to them, but to the constituents, to what's going on. I could definitely say these first 3 months has been absolutely crazy, from a snowmageddon
Yeah.
to the library. I said, man, it felt, these 3 months been feeling like 3 years already. But, I tell people, I can't complain about the role. It's what I signed up for. And so, like I said, I'm thankful every day to have the opportunity to be a voice and a vote to not only make my community better, but Baton Rouge better as well.
See, and he starts off by mentioning his neighbors. District 5 right next door. District 1 right next door over by Zachary. I see you playing right now. I see how you're starting with the politicking. He is Anthony Kenney, Metro Councilman for District 2. First visit, definitely not the last. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. 8:31. We missed ABC News. Don't care. We got to hit local news, traffic, weather. When we come back, talk a little crime next. He's good. I told you he's a ball of energy, right? Yeah. Come on in, man. Oh. Oh. Dude, I was running through the rundown for this seminar. Holy shit. Well, and this evening as well. Is this the same thing? Just fancy programs. Okay. All the pictures and bios. All right. Well, do you need to hang on to it for reference? Because I printed one out as well.
I have that burned permanently in my mind.
Done.
That's what I said yesterday. It's like, if I lose everything else in my life, I think I will have that agenda burned into my head. Yeah, I know this is a little past your bedtime, but you're more than welcome to come.
It is
tonight if
not
you want.
past my bedtime. Only problem is I've tonight's the first night at home for me. Like last night, my middle child made her. She tried out for an AAU basketball team and made it.
Oh, nice.
So she had practiced Monday.
Nice, and condolences.
Yeah. She had practiced last night 5 to 7, and then we went from practice to a volleyball game. She had practiced at St. Michael's and then had a volleyball game at SJV.
Yeah.
So just whipped right around. But we're not home until 9 o'clock last night. Tuesday night we weren't home until 8:30 because she had a volleyball game at Mercy. So it just this week especially has been bonkers.
Is she at St. Michael?
No. She's at Mercy right now. She's in 7th grade, and we'll be going to St. Joseph's.
That's where Sarah's son's at.
Okay. Yeah, Abby will go to St. Joseph's.
Yeah.
So do I need some kind of pass or something to get in on this on Friday if I want to sneak in and sneak out?
No.
Okay.
No, Hope and just tell them who you are. And
Okay. You know what I'm going to.
yeah, if you want to. Which one do you want to go?
I want to go see my boy from our street.
Oh, it's actually Liesel Pettis, female.
Oh, I saw that. I saw this.
Yeah, they're gonna. She does a lot of their criminal justice. She's like a senior fellow for their programming. I've worked with her in the past on some things, which is why I wanted her to come down.
See, I already know everything he's gonna say.
Yeah,
He said all that on my show.
Yep.
I
think this will be a good one.
Oh yeah, yes.
They've done Tanner's like when I was talking to other people around the state about like who do we need to have in, who's doing the best at attacking fentanyl. Everyone said this guy. I was like, good, I don't have to go far.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Tanner. You got I think the one with Steve. He works for Liz, so to say. But this is one. We tried to get a little something that would pique the interest of law enforcement, attorneys, prosecutors. I think the internet crimes against juveniles. He's doing a really good job on that. Conference of state legislators. She's bringing in the outside perspective for our legislators, saying, "Hey, she's part of our panel discussion on. These three are of our panel discussion on creating bipartisan public safety policy.
I already know everything he's going to say.
Yeah, Clay's going to talk. So Daphne works for GNO Inc., but she also helps run the NOLA Coalition.
Oh, wait, how did I miss her? Oh, I'll tell you how. Is it?
Cut off.
Where it printed out, she's just the next line on
Yeah.
the page.
I'm calling her Daphne. We're arguing in the office whether it's Daphne or Daphne. I think it's Daphne. I know. That's what I said. But I've learned in Louisiana it's not always said how it's spelled.
Correct.
He is going to do our closing. He's going to be talking about this is good. Hiller really wanted him to come down from John Jay to talk about the reinstituting the Violent Crime Task Force. Kind of like what they did with basically recreating Brave and what Brave did. Without using
that word.
Without using the word brave.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, he's been doing it for 10 years across the country. They have phenomenal success. So we're going to actually have a side meeting with him and some of the key people when he's here.
Hang tight. Grab a seat. All right, let's get a look at that forecast real quick, see what we've got going on over the course of the next couple of days. Going to be slightly cooler today than it was yesterday. Your high's only getting up to 66. Overnight low tonight could get down to about 36 degrees. You're probably going to dip into the 30s, maybe all the way down to 36. You might be needing to be on the lookout for frost tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's high, though, going to get up to 71. So, yeah, the temperature's going to go up by almost 40 degrees tomorrow. Overnight low Friday down to 46. We're back in the 80s by Saturday. Sunday into Monday, we do have a pretty significant chance of thunderstorms. In fact, a 90% chance of rain. Thunderstorms are likely within that time. Not going to knock down the temperature, though, because while Monday's high is 75, Tuesday's high is at 81. Right now, we are sunny and 51 on this first day of spring. (8:38) Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. All right, coming up, kicking off this evening and then rolling through tomorrow out at L'Auberge Hotel and Casino, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council is having their Public Safety Summit. Joining us now to talk about it is Chris Csonka. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back.
No, glad to have you on. Glad to reconnect up in D.C.
Yes.
For Washington Mardi Gras, as we do every year. This summit, I was perusing the rundown last night. Amazing. You've put together a ridiculous lineup to address public safety from so many different angles. Before we get into it, though, let's pause and talk about the mission of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, because that'll walk us up to what y'all put into a summit.
Yeah. Well, so the CJCC, as we call it, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, we really focus on bringing together stakeholders, both legal, law enforcement, municipal officials, and the community, bringing them together, setting them down, bringing in outside information from national experts, bringing in data, and trying to make informed decisions on how to better our criminal justice system as well as increase public safety.
I mean, that is almost word for word what the objective is right here.
It's kind of burned into my head.
Almost word for word. All right, so that walks us up to what's going to be in the Public Safety Summit. So let's talk about it. What can folks expect?
I think if you come on Friday for the summit, which is a jam-packed day, as I was telling you before we got on the air, we spent a lot of time and careful consideration curating this lineup to make sure that we touched on all the things that were hot button topics for the people throughout Louisiana to increase public safety, to better the criminal justice system. You're going to hear national trends. You're going to hear state trends. Jeff Asher is going to kick us off as our keynote. He is the co-creator of the Real-Time Crime Index, which is a combination of 300 jurisdictions across the country that he collects crime data from, including many in Louisiana. He's actually out of New Orleans, so he's going to talk about that and talk about some of Louisiana's data, and how we can do a better job of bringing our data in to kind of guide us on what we need to do. The Attorney General, Liz Murrell, is going to speak for a while on the state of public safety in Louisiana. We're happy to get her back again this year. I'm really excited about our panel discussion after lunch, creating bipartisan public safety policy.
Yes.
Yeah, we've brought in or are bringing in people from R Street Institute, from the Council on Criminal Justice, and from the National Conference of State Legislators, all national organizations that work public safety and criminal justice across the country. All of the three speakers we have all have expertise in working with legislators and creating legislation in a bipartisan way to increase public safety in different states. So we're hoping to get some of those examples and build off that when they leave.
This panel discussion, and it's the official title is "Build a Consensus: Bipartisan Strategies for Improving Criminal Justice and Advancing Public Safety." Bipartisan's a word that it's tough to come by these days. We're all pretty dug in. We do, however, see that every time that one side of the aisle meets with the other, we net great results here. How hard is it to bridge that when it comes to public safety?
I think of a lot of the great divides that are out there when you're talking about different legislations. I think public safety is the easiest to come together on.
Yeah.
It should be, because everybody wants their communities to be more safe. Everybody wants a fair and efficient criminal justice system and process. It's just a lot of people have different ideas on how to get there.
Well, because the discussion then devolves into one side wants to go to root causes and the other side wants to go to net results. And then you get into the argument of you can't arrest your way out of a crisis, for which you can, but at the same time, though, you can't ignore the arrests either. And then, it's staying on task. That's the hard part.
And I think it's not just believing your way is the best way.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we find and what we're hoping to show is that a combination of the different ways is the best way to look at the root causes, and then look at maybe more policing if we need that. Education as part of leading to criminal activity, which we'll hear about as well. Those sorts of things all need to be working in tandem to help increase.
In tandem is the perfect answer there. Because, yeah, you can look at root causes all day long, but root causes are often generational. That doesn't make me safer tonight.
Correct.
That's that. So it's that
we need to work on the low-hanging fruit and then start working on the 10, 15-year plan all at the same time, so that it can all come together.
So you got Liesl Pettis from the R Street Institute, Amber, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Widgery.
Yes.
From the National Conference of State Legislators, and then Mark Levin from the Council on Criminal Justice. Not that Mark Levin, the Mark Levin from the Council on Criminal Justice.
Right. And actually that Mark Levin on the agenda there, he also was one of the co-founders of Right on Crime.
Okay.
Which came out of the Texas Policy Foundation. So he's coming in with a lot of knowledge, especially knowledge of how legislation's been done in the South, and hopefully bringing some of that knowledge to us.
Liesl's been on the show before. From R Street. Yeah,
good.
From R Street. We learned this about our shared affinity of R Street when we were up in DC.
R Street's a great organization. They work so hard to put out factual information, and they're typically seen as kind of a right-leaning
think tank.
Think tank, yeah. But what they do put out is also very true, factual, and common sense guidelines for how to create policy, how to work the criminal justice process. They put out a lot of good work,
and they incorporate. It's the nice mix of data and pragmatism.
Yes,
absolutely. Another great organization is the Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Foundation. That would be Mr. Clay Young. He's involved in a breakout session called Building Safer Neighborhoods, the Role of Community and Industry in Enhancing Public Safety. It's something that Clay's got a lot of experience with right here.
It is. I didn't have to go far to find that one. And we also have Daphne Barnes from GNO Inc. She's helping, and she also helps to run the NOLA Coalition. And we've connected with them a couple of times. NOLA Coalition's doing a great job of using private funding and industry to help back law enforcement, help better the criminal justice process. So we're hoping that they share some of that.
Well, and what's going on in New Orleans right now is nothing short of amazing. I mean, they're moving the needle so quickly. And then of course you have to take into account incidents like the terror attack on New Year's morning, but just the day to day in New Orleans right now is nowhere near where it was 2 years ago.
Not at all.
So
it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, going to be some great perspective in there. There's also a breakout session on the future of AI and public safety. You got Dr. Schwartz coming in from LSU.
Yes.
Get ready for it.
As we were kicking around the agenda and what to talk about, the AI was actually on the top 3 topics the whole time because it's so prominent in everything else we do. And I think it's really going to shape how public safety and criminal justice is legislated, the policies are created, and how it goes forward. So he was more than willing to come in and talk to everybody.
Have you gotten a sneak peek at his slide deck or his presentation?
I have not yet.
All right.
I'm waiting for
it. I was hoping for a little peek behind the curtain right there.
So
because I'm curious as to how AI can be used because, all right, when you start talking about AI, you start talking about getting predictive. When you start talking about getting predictive, you start talking about, remember that movie Minority Report?
I do.
Yeah. How do you walk one path without walking the other?
I do. That's what they call a slippery slope, isn't it?
Yup. Absolutely. So hopefully he at least references that movie somewhere in there.
That'd be great.
It does walk us down there. And then the third breakout session, if you want to head over to Ballroom C, challenges and solutions for successful re-entry into society after incarceration. We live in the most incarcerated state and the most incarcerated nation in the world. I think this is going to be the most underrated breakout or the most underrated get together of the whole day, because this is not just a crime issue. This is a workforce issue. This is an issue of like, who's your neighbor? Yep. And what are they doing to make sure they're on the straight and narrow? And there's a lot of discussion to be had there.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time. Well, last year, we're about a year into the Capital Area Prisoner Reentry Initiative, which we created a year ago. But we've worked with Rhett Covington, who works for DPS&C. And if you haven't heard him give this talk before, you definitely have to hear it. He is very knowledgeable. He's been doing this for a lot of time. And I think that's going to be a great breakout. If you miss any of them, we'll have all their slides posted on our website after the summit.
All right, yeah, because you put 3 really solid breakouts all at the same time and just go complete Monty Hall on it.
I think next year we might have to go to 2 days.
Wouldn't be the worst thing. And then things will wrap up with, I love this title, Combating Violent Crime in 2025 Through Collaborative Law Enforcement Efforts. Is collaboration as tough today? Is it? We've been very, I don't want to say, entrenched in putting up barriers around departments and whatnot, but we've seen instances in the past where those barriers can be knocked down. Oftentimes it takes something huge like Derek Todd Lee or something like that to get folks sharing information and working together. Are we now where we were, or are we in a better place today when it comes to collaboration?
I think we're in a better place. Collaborating is the baseline of what we do. We bring people together to have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's gotten better in the time we've been doing this. I think David Kennedy is going to be a great speaker and talk about some things that we can really take, like you were saying, actionable steps on that'll start making immediate results right away.
Yeah.
Which is what we're hoping to do. Hiller was very excited he was coming to talk.
Who's this for? Who should come out? Who needs to attend? And what do they need to do so?
If they're not registered already, they can go to our website, which is EBR, as in East Baton Rouge, cjcc.org.
Mm-hmm.
There's links there to take you to the registration site. Register if you're, and we're offering 3 CLE hours for attorneys.
Ooh.
Based on some of the different topics.
Mm-hmm.
We're also offering, it should be for lawyers. It should be for law enforcement, legislators, municipal officials, community people, advocacy groups. It's really everybody who has a vested stake in increasing our public safety.
Unbelievable. It's just a jam-packed day from start to finish. He is Chris Csonka from the CJCC, the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, going down tomorrow at L'Auberge. Greatly appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Told you earlier about LSU women's basketball. Don't forget we're the home of LSU's softball team as well. They're on the road. They're at Georgia. Beth Torina and her Tigers will be taking on Georgia in a 3-game set. First game tomorrow at 5 p.m. You'll hear it right here on Talk 107.3 FM. All right, we got one more break to go. When we come back, we may be dipping into the outside in, or we might be reverting back to a previous topic. I tell you what, we had to skip something earlier on. We're going to make that up next. We're blowing out the outside in yet again. Quick break, coming back next.
Best laid plans.
Wait.
51 up.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
Yep.
You both got there at the same time.
No. But
Oh,
we're coming out of the wrong channel.
Yeah.
So he skipped the spot for Your Money Now. So I blew past the Your Money Now report. Give me the website one more time where people go to sign up so he can include it in the link.
Yeah, our main webpage is ebrcjcc.org. Right on the front of that, there's a button that takes you to the registration page and to the agenda. So.
I'm gonna try my best to get out there tonight.
Yeah.
I know I'm coming out tomorrow.
Okay.
So, but I will do my best to make it out tonight. Just gonna meet some people.
I think today and tomorrow, because we actually we're working on another initiative called the Louisiana Network for Criminal Justice, and we have people from Monroe and Lafayette. They're coming in for a pre-meeting at like noon today, like noon to 4.
Who do you have coming in from Monroe?
I don't know. I'd have to look. We're working with an agency called Justice Management Institute that MacArthur is giving money
The
to.
mayor was coming in.
Oh, Friday now. I think it's somebody from their chamber.
Okay.
That was sitting in on it. But yeah, Lafayette. So we're doing that. Today and tomorrow is just going to be one really long
Somehow Friday has turned into the biggest rock star in the state. He's awesome.
Dude, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he's charismatic. You immediately love him when you like meet him, and he comes off as like this guy. Plus, he's got this energy about him.
And he's netting results.
Yeah, and
That's the biggest.
that AI center was a huge win for them.
Yeah, which I don't know how. How did he pull that? Like,
Why aren't we doing it?
damn good question.
Look at North Baton Rouge. My God, imagine if they put a $10 billion AI center in there. And half the infrastructure is already there. You don't have to build it.
True. I don't know about the energy end of it though.
Well, that's going to have to. You're going to have to add that part of it.
Yeah.
But
But so do they.
Yeah.
I mean, they're building shit out of the woods.
oh yeah, Entergy. Yeah, Entergy is like, oh yeah, we'll help with that. That's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you for the time.
Always. Thank
I'll
you.
I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have lots of food there and drinks. Come out tonight. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
It's a little more casual.
Okay.
Give you some time to connect and talk about it.
Yeah. Hopefully. All right. Thanks, Chris. All right, so we are going to go back to those real ID cuts. The 8:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. One segment to go here. Thanks again to Chris Csonka. That is really going to be fantastic. The Public Safety Summit coming up tomorrow out at L'Auberge. Visit EBRCJCC website to ebrcjcc.org to sign up for that. All right. We're going to get you to, we got one more news story to cover here, but first got to remind you about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Metro Airport. FlyBTR.com is their home base, if you will, online. It's their home base. Visit FlyBTR.com to hit up flight info, but also to look at for, where you're headed, Make sure that Baton Rouge, or see if Baton Rouge has got you covered. Before you make any travel plans, whether it be business or personal, start in your own backyard, for crying out loud. At least do the side-by-side comparison, not just with ticket prices, not just with potential layover, although with Washington, D.C., you don't even have that. You got a direct flight to D.C., and there's a number of direct flights as well. But what you want to take into account is the whole package here. When you want to do a side-by-side is you're going to include the driving down to New Orleans. You're going to include the parking down in New Orleans and the overall hassle. FlyBTR.com, if you want to get in, get out, get home again, all in a much more reasonable amount of time, that once your travel is over, your travel is over. FlyBTR.com. We have a fantastic airport in our own backyard. Let's use it. If you're going to use it, you're going to need a real ID. The deadline is fast approaching. If you don't have your real ID yet, well, you need to get on that. Cut 10, please.
On May 7th of this year, the federal government will require a real ID, driver's license, or identification card for those who want to fly with a state-issued credential.
So Matt Boudreau with the Office of Motor Vehicles says to help people meet that deadline, the OMV is opening select offices on select Saturdays so that people won't have to take time off of work. And last Saturday was the first of what was originally going to be 3 Saturdays. It was such a hit that they're adding another one this week. Cut 11.
We had a great response, a great turnout at all 10 of those locations. So we're going to go and do it again this Saturday at some of the same, but a few different offices.
Boudreau says when May 7th rolls around, you're not going to be able to use your driver's license to confirm your identity at the TSA checkpoint unless it is real ID compliant.
We obviously don't want Louisiana residents being stuck at the airport or waiting in a longer line while they try to verify their identity after that date.
So the other dates for the Saturday, the other dates are April 12th and May 3rd. Hours of operations are going to be 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can book an appointment at expresslane.org, expresslane.org. They'll also take walk-ins when you go out there. I would recommend the appointment, though. But the long and the short of it is, like, forever you've been able to fly with just your driver's license, and this is going to be different now. This is going to be the new way, which hopefully brings along with it, not just a new hassle, but some sort of benefit that goes along with it. The Real ID Act was actually passed way back in 2005, establishing the minimum security standards for a state-issued driver's license. So 20 years later is when you're going to need the full-on Real ID in order to board a domestic flight. I am curious about those who don't have an ID yet. Like if you're not old enough to have your driver's license, how's that working? I mean, your parents are going to have a Real ID and hopefully you're flying with them, but I need to follow up on that one and find out where that part goes. Anyway, May 7th, it's going to get here sooner than you think. We are all done for the day. Moon Griffon is coming up next. Tomorrow, Patty G will be in the house. Tomorrow, we'll talk with the folks at Lake Urgent Care. We got a lot coming your way then. Right now, we're out of here. We'll see you later. All right, Facebook. My rundown's upstairs, and I legit don't remember what's on it. I know Patty G. I know we're making cakes for Foodie Friday. Yeah, because apparently I'm not allowed to lose weight. So, anyway, we'll see y'all tomorrow.